All right, and give me 1 second. Let me just go live on IG. All right. All right. What's up, everybody? All right. So, welcome to another session of the Golf God Podcast, Wednesday Hot Topics, live out of San Francisco on this beautiful Wednesday night. As you guys can see, we have a full panel of fellas and ladies here tonight, and we have another great topic to discuss for you guys. As always, I appreciate you guys for always jumping on my live streams and supporting the show. You guys already know the best way to support the channel is to smash that like and subscribe button real quick. Don't forget, this is a public show. A lot of you guys do reach out to me on Instagram, always asking me, how do I join the podcast? I'm not from the Bay Area. I'm not from Cali. The best way to join is virtually on my Wednesday shows. The link to join is in the description on the video on YouTube. So if you're watching this from Instagram, I know a lot of you guys are watching on IG, X, Facebook, and Twitch. Come over to YouTube, and the link is in the description below. Click on that link, and you'll be able to jump on, and you can use your phone like a video Zoom call and be part of the panel. If you watch my content, you guys know whether we agree or disagree. I'm always open to hear different perspectives, and when we have these conversations. So thank you so much as always. But click on that link and jump on and come over to YouTube. But let's get that live chat popping. If you're watching this right now, show some love in the live chat. If you recognize these guests, show some support, and let's get that live chat active and let me know what you guys think about the topic at hand. All right, so don't forget, if you do want to share, a lot of you guys have questions relating to the topic. If you want to ask a topic, a question for us as a panel to respond to, or maybe a direct question to a specific guest to get their response, ask it through a super chat. I'll be able to put it on the screen, give you a shout out, and then we'll be able to respond to any questions, not only as a panel, but also individually if you have a specific question to one of the fellas or the ladies. VinFTW, good to see you in the live chat. I appreciate you for jumping on early. But we have some great guests tonight, and we have another great topic. And of course, if you just want to donate to the channel, drop it through a super chat. I'll be able to give a shout out as well. And appreciate everybody who always supports the channel. Every donation always goes back to the podcast, so I can make sure I give you guys the best quality content. So thank you so much as always. And I just want to give a super shout out to my sponsor, Global Financial Impact. They're a financial services company. So if you do need some financial services to work, Savannah, reach out to Savannah and her team. They can help you with tax advantage wealth strategies, college funds for kids, debt management. They can help you if you struggle with debt and sometimes you feel like you can't get out of it. They can structure a plan to help you becoming debt free, teach you how to be your own family bank, life insurance and living benefits, and of course legacy planning to add financial independence to your name, to leave something behind to your children and your grandchildren, and of course, business ownership programs if you want to become an entrepreneur. Show. Shout out to Savannah for always sponsoring my show. Thank you so much. So reach out to her and her team, and all their information is in the description on YouTube as well. But nevertheless, that's pretty much all my YouTube stuff. Thank you so much as always. We'll go right ahead and get the show started. We have a great panel, and we do have some members going to be joining us a little bit later, and they're going to be part of the panel as well. But I'll pass it back to you guys. Thank you so much for making the time. I know all you guys are busy. We have a great show planned out for you guys. But if you guys don't mind, we have some new faces here. I think everybody here is a new face except Shelby. I think Shelby's a veteran of the show. Thank you for coming back, Shelby.
Only a little bit. I like 3.
Let's pass it back to you, ladies. If you guys don't mind, if you want to give yourself a quick intro for everyone out there, since it's your first time, just keep it simple. Your name, where you're tuning in from, what do you do, and since we're talking about relationships, what is your relationship status? I'll start with you, Kimberly. Go ahead.
Hi, everyone. So my name is Kimberly. I'm tuning in from Lincoln, California. I work at a dental office as a treatment coordinator, and I am currently in a relationship.
All right. Thank you so much, Kimberly. Appreciate you. All the way from Cali. I'll keep it moving. To pass it to you, to Tilly. Go ahead, Tilly. Go ahead and give yourself a quick intro for everyone out there.
Hi, everyone. I'm Tuli. I'm coming from the Midwest, and currently I am physically disabled due to a work-related accident, so I'm not working. However, I do use my modeling platform to advocate, to bring awareness to all disabilities and special needs.
All right.
And single.
All right. Thank you so much, Tuli, for jumping up for time. Excited to have you on the panel. And Shelby, again, thank you for coming back the third time or fourth time, Shelby?
I don't know if this is the third or the fourth.
Probably the third.
I've done a couple other ones now. Damien.
Yeah. So thank you again for always making the time. But go ahead and give yourself a quick intro for everybody out there.
Hi, I'm Shelby. I'm 29. I live in Massachusetts. I do bookkeeping, and I'm single.
All right. Thank you so much, Shelby. Shout out to the ladies for making the time. But we'll keep it moving. I'll pass it to you, Phil. Phil, I know it's your first time here on the pod, and shout out to you. I know you finally came out the live comments and you're part of the show. Go ahead, Phil. Give yourself a quick intro for everyone out there.
Indeed. Glad to be here. Shout out to everyone on the panel. Will, indeed, for holding it down. Brother Harrison, ladies, indeed. I am, about to be 44 young man from originally New Jersey, but I hail in North Carolina. Definitely like, what Will is doing in the show. I'll definitely be in the comments, but now, it's cool to be up here with the panel and to be here with you guys. So look forward to this, to the chat and whatnot, and to this conversation tonight. I am in a relationship. Been in a relationship now for a while, and definitely, with purpose towards marriage is definitely the goal. I'm sure she's watching now. Shout out, baby. So, but other than that, we just, was there something I was leaving out, Will?
No, that's it. I think you covered everything.
All right.
Thank you so much, Phil. Good to have you on the pod for the first time. Appreciate you. And last but not least, Harrison Family Values. Go ahead and give yourself a quick intro for everyone out there.
What's going on? My name is Andre. You can call me Dre from Harrison Family Values. Got a podcast on YouTube. By day, I'm an educational administrator. And at night, I moonlight as a marriage and family counselor. And I'm 44 and I'm married.
All right. Thank you so much, Harrison Family Values. Appreciate you. And thank you so much for the panel. Thank you for making the time. And shout out to you guys on the live chat. I see you guys already on the live chat. You finally started to get active. William Graves, Lovely World, good to see you. Gas Mask, appreciate you guys. But let's get that live chat popping. Let me know what you guys think. We have a great topic we'll be discussing today. And we're going to go right into it. So the topic that we're going to be discussing is why are men and women opting out of dating, long-term relationships, and marriage? So are you guys on X, on Twitter?
Mm-hmm.
Are you guys on Twitter, on X?
Yeah.
So there's this viral video that's going viral right now on I think on Twitter, on X, and TikTok. So I'll play the video real quick and we get to respond to it. But it was this girl. She was talking about why a lot of men are opting out and she can't find any suitable partners because she really wants a long-term committed relationship. So I'm gonna play the video real quick. It's about a minute 20 seconds. So we'll just watch the video real quick, the clip. And of course, if you're watching this right now in the live chat, you can definitely react to the clip as well and let me know what you guys think. Always appreciate your feedback, and then I'll come back full circle to the panel once we're done watching the clip, and everybody have the opportunity to go one by one, and we get to share the perspective before we open up for an open discussion. So let me play this clip real quick, and then we'll go right into it. It's about a minute and 20 seconds. Let me just play that right now. There we go.
At this point, based on everything that everyone's telling me, my therapist, my family, my friends, that I'm just doing everything wrong. I'm healing wrong. I'm thinking wrong. I'm training wrong. I'm doing relationships wrong. Everything I do is fucking wrong, and I'm so sick of it. Stop comparing. It's not even about comparison. Like, I genuinely just want love in my life so badly. It's literally not about anyone else. It's just about me and what I want. And being fucking over the fact that I don't have it. I feel like I have done so much work on myself. I have built a beautiful life for myself. I'm happy with my life where I'm at, my job. I'm successful. I'm independent. I'm healthier than I've ever been. I take such good care of myself truly the only thing I'm missing in my life is someone to enjoy it with. And I'm so sick of waiting. Like, when is it going to be my turn? What more do I have to do to fix myself before I'm just allowed to be happy, before I'm allowed to meet this universe soulmate person that God supposedly has for me? How much harder do I have to pray and manifest and wait? I feel like I'm being punished for something I didn't do.
All right. Okay. So that was a clip. So that was the clip that's going viral right now on X and especially on TikTok. But that video, the original video was about 3 minutes, so I just shortened it to about a minute. But to give everybody some context, because she did share it before the video. I believe she was 29, 30. She's she has a good career. She's in shape. She takes care of herself. As you guys can see, she's a pretty woman, right? But there's a lot of videos like that on X right now, and on especially X and on Twitter and on TikTok, that a lot of women who are in that situation or fit that demographic find themselves saying that it's hard for them to find a committed relationship, and a lot of the men they come across they're opting out of dating, they're opting out of long-term relationships and marriage. So that's the conversation I want to have for you guys. What do you guys think? So I'll pass it to you guys. So what's your general reaction? And what's your initial reaction based on the things from that clip and what she shared? I would like to hear your feedback on from that clip. And also you can open up your opening statement. Why do you think a lot of men and women today? Because last time I think there was a website I saw that there's an article saying I think about 50-60% of men and women today are single. Mm-hmm. So there's a large population and demographic of men and women who are single. And there are a lot of men out there, just my own personal experience, what I see online, who have decided to opt out of dating, long-term relationships, and marriage in general. So I think this is a great conversation to have. I'm a big advocate for marriage. I'm a big advocate for strong families. So I like to have this conversation with people with different perspectives, but that's what I see. There's a lot of people who are single, but there's a lot of men and women out there. They want to seek something long-term, but what they see in today's modern times, in today's dating market, a lot of people are just opting out when it comes to dating, long-term relationships, and marriage. So I definitely would love to hear what you guys have to say about this topic. Let me just give a shout out to Sophisticated Jerk. Thank you so much for the super chat. Shout out to everyone. What's good, Shelby, Will, and the homie Phil. Phil, you better hold it down. All right, so yeah, thank you so much, Jerk. I appreciate you for your super chat as always. And don't forget, if you're watching this for the first time, this is a public show. So if you do want to jump on, and this is the first time on the channel, you can jump on and be part of the panel. The link is in the description on YouTube. Click on that link, and you'll be able to jump on and be part of the show. I'll pass it back to you guys, ladies. What do you guys think? I would like to hear what you have to say. I'll start with you, Thule. Thule, what's your reaction? What's your initial reaction to the clip for what she shared, and also what's your opening thoughts about the topic? Why are men and women today opting out of dating, long-term relationships, and marriage? Go ahead, Thule.
All right. Well, first, my heart goes out to her because, ouch, you could feel her pain and just where she's at, and the fact that everyone is blaming her and holding her accountable when they don't, we don't really know. But I think my personal opinion is, and I realize I didn't say my age, I'm 40, and I've been out of the dating game for a few years. But I think personally it's coming from a place of insecurities. If a man is not confident in himself and a female is not confident in herself, and you have them come together and try to build something, and that foundation isn't solid, you're going to have a lot of conflict. You're going to have, you're bumping heads. You can't find that common ground. And that creates the lack of trust, the miscommunication, all these different things. And I feel like that is what happens from what I've seen in a lot of relationships, is that people come and they're not transparent with what they want, and it leads to everything else going left. And then when that happens, it's like a trickle effect where someone sees that and they're like, oh, well, that happened to that person, so I'm not, and I feel like that's how it is. It's a domino effect, basically. So I feel like if people just came to the table and said, this is what I'm about, this is who I am, this is what I'm looking for, I think relationships would be a lot more healthier than what they are.
Appreciate that, Tuli. Thank you so much. Let me just read the super chat real quick. The Sophisticated Jerk dropped the super chat. Shout out to you, Jerk. That girl in the video is an emotional mess and burden. Women like this are typically difficult to deal with. That is why most men are ghosting her. Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Sophisticated Jerk. I'll keep it moving and pass it to you, Kimberly. Kimberly, what's your initial reaction from that video as you were listening to it? And also, what's your opening thoughts about the topic? Why are men and women opting out of dating long-term relationships and marriage? Go ahead, Kimberly.
Wait, can I ask Kimberly a question?
Yeah, go ahead, Harrison.
What are you sipping on?
It's a sour, beer sour.
Oh, okay, because all right. I wonder if it's priming you for the conversation.
Yes, it is. I'm getting a little nervous. I'm like, okay, got it. Yeah, I was like, it was sitting here. I was like, okay, I think I'm gonna need it. So I was like, just in case, and I'm just sipping on.
All right, go ahead, go ahead, Kimberly.
Yeah, so I mean, I feel her. I at one point I was in the same situation as her. It is kind of sad because there's so many like women out there that are ready for a commitment for a long-term relationship, and I think a lot of people do want that. But I feel like nowadays, like a lot of people are just like don't want to commit because I don't know, like especially like in this modern days, everyone's just like it's just easy. You go on a date, you hook up with someone and you have fun with this person, but then eventually you get bored and so you want to like meet up with like another person again and all that. So I also feel like when women are like very strong, like that girl, like she got like all her shit together, she's very independent. Most men are like like some men, they get like really intimidated by that kind of, like character that a woman possess. Cause then I don't know, they feel like she's more like alpha or like she, like she has that character where you can say like, I don't need no man. I mean, she does, but she's like, hey, like if you're not going to commit and you can't basically match my energy, then obviously you can't like stay with that kind of person. So, yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Kimberly. Appreciate that. I'll pass it to you, Shelby. Shelby, go ahead. What's your initial reaction to that clip? And also, what do you think about the topic? Go ahead, Shelby.
I saw that video actually a couple days ago, and I commented on it because I felt for her. Like I totally get where she's coming from, and I feel like a lot of people are attacking her too. Like Sophisticated Jerk said, that's why a bunch of men are ghosting her. Who said a bunch of men are ghosting her? Maybe she's the one that's like saying no to these men or whatever. But yeah, I think she's just I feel like actually honestly that a lot of women, I see a lot of women, just because I'm a woman, I see a lot of women like putting in the work, trying to heal themselves, trying to become the best version of themselves. And I honestly commented on that video. I was like, sis, we're waiting for the men to heal themselves as well. Like I think there's a lot of men that need to step up their game and like put the work on, like in themselves, and yeah, so we can come together and be the best versions for both of each other. So
okay. All right. Thank you so much, Shelby. Thank you for sharing that. We'll keep it moving. I appreciate you guys on the live chat. I see you guys going hard on the live chat. Milagros, good to see you guys on the live chat. Good to see you on the live chat. Appreciate you guys. Prudy, thank you so much for being on the live chat. But if you're a moderator, let's get active. Let's get everybody active in the live chat and make sure everybody's liking and subscribing to the channel. But we'll pass it to the ladies. Thank you so much for your feedback. Let me pass it to the fellas, and then we can go ahead and open it up for open discussion once everybody has gone, because there are a lot of things I do disagree with based on what you guys shared tonight. So I'm interested to have that conversation with you guys. But I'll pass it to you, Harrison Family Values. What's your initial reaction to that video, and what do you think about the topic? Go ahead.
I think this is a dope topic that people really need to have a objective perspective about. And I gotta be honest, in hearing a lot of these topics, it seems like there's always like a strong sense on one side or the other, right? So I'm going to try to be as objective as possible, and some of the things I'm going to say will probably contrast what the ladies on the panel was saying. Okay, I heard her and I feel her. She wants to share her life with somebody. That's a very noble thing. She probably knows what she expects in a man. But in the video, I didn't hear anything about what she can offer a man as well. And I think that's one of those conversations that, and I say this respectfully, ladies get intimidated about talking about, because the second, because the thing is, here's the truth of the matter, okay? Since boys are boys, since the men are young, they're taught how to treat women. When they get older, they choose whether or not they want to do it, but they know exactly how to do it. They know exactly what a husband is supposed to do, not just by what their mothers are teaching them, but what society is telling them they ought to do. They ought to be chivalrous. They ought to do all these things, right? When men get older, they have two choices. I'm going to do it, or I'm not going to do it. On the flip side, though, there isn't a lot about what a young girl growing up, how she should be as a wife, how she should interact with a man as well. It's always the man needs to do this and do this and do this, right? You don't hear a lot. And if I'm wrong, you guys tell me. I know from my experience, and this is all my experience, I don't hear a lot from it. To the point where, panels of women on daytime television could talk publicly about how useless men are. And there's no way a man can do that, because we already know that, one, if we do that, we'll be completely canceled. But two, we shouldn't do that because we were taught to respect women. Now, either we don't do it or we do it. But for the most part, most men are growing up knowing how they should treat a woman. But sometimes men feel like, oh, I don't even know what I'm going to treat. Like, I could treat this young lady very nicely, but she don't know how to treat me as a potential wife. So men are opting out of dating because, or in long-term relationships, because they're concerned about what they're going to get out of the dating situation. If they do get married, what are they going to get after they get married? It's a tough discussion, but I think that's one of the reasons why, at least from the man's perspective, men aren't trying to rush into relationships anymore, because they're going to put out more, and that's the expectation. But then to expect a woman to do something reciprocal for them is looked down upon in society. So,
All right. And I appreciate that, Harrison Family Values. And we're going to have a great discussion tonight, ladies and gentlemen. So thank you so much. Appreciate that, ladies. I know it's going to be, this is a great topic. And I think you touched on one of the things, Harrison, I wanted to address. So you already brought it up to the forefront. So we got to definitely dive into that.
And this is not me saying I'm anti-women, because as you said, I think it was you, Kimberly. Most men, just don't know, and a lot of men are in that space. I do agree. So whatever I said isn't like exhaustive. It's not like concrete, but there's wiggle room in everything.
Thank you so much, Harrison. I'll pass it to you, Phil. Phil, what's your initial reaction to that clip? And also, what's your opening thoughts about the topic? Why are men and women opting out of dating long-term relationships and marriage? Go ahead, Phil.
All right. Well, I first want to say that I definitely speak in generalities. I don't want to come off as if I'm saying a specific, or being personal in any way. Because, and sometimes that has to be said, because it seems that certain things can cut and offend, and I don't mean that in any way. But I will say to the video, the young lady, I've seen that in multiple conversations where you have people that are trying to receive love, trying to get love, trying to look for love, trying to put themselves out there so they can benefit from all of the things that love embodies, right? And she, at the time, seemed like she was in an emotional state that was that needed she needed to be heard at the moment. She wanted everyone to kind of feel a pain, right? And I get it. I mean, I've kind of been there. I've been there myself. But I think that when we look at the things that are needed to put ourselves out there for receiving that love that she was speaking of, and for actually trying to make sure we do our part, because she listed some things, right? She said, I'm in the best shape of my life. I, am doing the things necessary. People are saying that uh that I'm doing everything wrong. So, there's some things that she said there, and I get it, but it's like, for me, I need to see what the other, and Harrison touched on it, what the other side is wanting. If I'm so invested in receiving love from a woman, I need to know what a woman wants, what she needs, more importantly, what she needs and what she wants, right? And to try to make sure that I am bringing that to the table, right? So it's like, and then seeing what works, what has worked and what hasn't worked when it comes to just the overall uh, dynamic of relationships, and trying to find some stability. For me, it's my faith. I'm led by my faith. So if without my faith, I can't even begin to think about relationships, because I don't have a foundation. I don't, because again, I'm going to be hearing, like she said, people on the left, people on the right, people telling me I'm doing everything wrong, people telling me I'm doing right. It's a mess, and it gets real messy real quick. So now I just want to take it, like I said, strip it back, peel back the layer all the way to the core, and see what do I need to do to be a better person, and to also make sure I'm a better person for the individuals that I'm looking for. I think that's the work that she should do when it comes, to my advice for her is to definitely look at men and see what men actually like. It was a lot of things about her, but it was, you can't marry yourself, or you can't become the the thing that you want to marry, the person that you want to marry. It's like, and it seems like, and again, in general, you have ladies now trying to, in our society, in our culture, trying to become really the men that they're seeking, which is anti. It's like it's like a aura. It's like a it's like repellent.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's a repellent, because guys don't want to date themselves. So other than that, the topic, man, the topic is live. The topic is definitely awesome. I like the fact that we're going to get into more about uh, the why are men and women opting out of dating, you know, long
Okay.
term, and that's real. I think this is going to be a great conversation. And like I said, in marriage, at the end of the day, is the main pillar. To me, that's what matters. That's what we have to like center our mind around, but not negligently.
Okay.
Not just going into something just to go into something.
All right. I appreciate that, Phil. Thank you so much, Jerk. Thank you for pulling up as a guest, as a virtual guest. Appreciate you jumping on. But thank you so much for the opening statements. Let me pass it back to the panel. We've all had a chance to respond to each other. We all got a chance to hear from what we think about the topic. So I want to pass it back to you guys. Does anybody here want to respond to what somebody said? Or to add on to what somebody said?
Yeah. I
Go
feel
ahead,
like
Shelby.
in the video she kind of talked about, she's like, I'm doing all this work on myself, like when is it going to be good enough? And I think that's the issue. And like you guys were talking about what she should do even more to like to become a wife or whatever. And that's where I think she feels frustrated. It's like, when will I be good enough to attract the right person, type of thing. So I don't know, I feel where she's coming from. It's like, I don't know. That like point of being, when will I be good enough to have someone? Like, why am I not good enough now? And I think she has to get to that point of feeling good enough as she is, type of thing. So,
well, you know what it's like? It's like I hear what you're saying, right? But if I want to be the best basketball player, right, and I do all this work to learn how to kick the perfect field goal, right? What kind of basketball player am I going to be? So I think we say we're doing all this work on ourselves. The question we need to ask is the work that we're doing moving us closer to the goal that we want?
I also think it's like a never-ending process of.
Well, I don't know if it has to be a never-ending process. So like if you want to get to point A, you take the steps to get to point A. If she wants to spend the rest of her life with somebody and share her life with somebody, then the work she should be doing should be centered on that, not solely making herself feel better about herself. Now, if she like the work that she described sounds like work that usually people, men and women, do after a breakup, not the work that they want to do when they want to try to find somebody. Hopefully that makes sense. I'm not trying to like put her down anyway, but you know, if she wants to put in the work, right? Maybe she should get around some of her, male friends that's not trying to slide in her DMs and be like, what's happening here? Like, what can I do to move myself in a better position to find a good man, or even say, you know what? Here's the type of work I've been doing. I've been speaking to older married women, and they've been coaching me on what makes their relationship successful. They've been coaching me on what they do for their husbands that their husbands truly appreciate. Right? I think if she was to say things like, I've been doing that kind of work, then I would be like, and she still can't find a man? Dad, these men out here are dogs. Like, but the work that she was describing really does describe, because I've been through a breakup, and everything that she described, things that I was doing. I was getting my body right. I was, trying to get my mental right, because I just experienced that. But after I wanted to make sure I was in a position to get back into a relationship, now I need to know, what do I need to do in order for me to be the optimal potential husband for a woman? And I don't know if what she was describing in that video was saying that.
All right. Kimberly, you want to add on?
No.
Let's expand on that, Harrison. So, the work that we do, right? And I think I agree with Harrison. So, if your outcome is marriage, right? Is your outcome is marriage? I mean, everybody on this panel, do you believe that in order for a relationship to work, a healthy one, the needs and expectations of both men and women must be met and must be reciprocated, correct? Yes.
Yeah.
Right. So we understand women have needs of what you're looking for as far as your expectations of what you're looking for, what you want from your man. And of course, men also have expectations and needs as well. And I want to ask the ladies, and like this is coming from a genuine place, because we really want to figure out solutions for men and women to come together. But the thing is, if your outcome that you want is a good man, and just pass it. Let me ask you a question. Do you guys like a masculine man?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Do you like a traditional man? Likes to be the provider, protector. He wants to be a leader. He likes to use duty to take care of his woman, his children. That's something he wants to do.
Yep.
Right. and of course the character, the morals, the values. He's loyal, he's committed, all those things, right? And you can, I mean, I'm not. You can also add God in there if you want, all right? Religious if you want to.
Mhm.
Okay. So the thing is, and I think I want to, if you want a man, and that's the type of caliber of man that you want, whenever you're talking about finding somebody, you also have to address what men are looking for as well. And I think I do agree with Harrison. Oftentimes when we see women, especially who make videos that's similar to this, they oftentimes talk about the things that they want in a relationship, the things they want in a man, but there's no conversation about what men want and their needs and what they're looking for in a relationship. So as we agreed on this panel, in order for a relationship to work, the needs and expectations has to be reciprocated. But oftentimes when you see these types of clips from a lot of women who will find themselves, and I mean, she is attractive, she's in shape. You know, I'm sure that there's a lot of men out there that would like to be with her. But if we're talking about something about long term in marriage, which takes a very committed investment into her, then you have to consider, especially for the men out there, what they want and what they're looking for long term. So I just want to ask you, ladies on the panel, if your goal is to find that man, to attract that man, and you want that marriage, what kind of work that you do, and what kind of needs, what are you going to bring to the table that that the men are generally looking for, especially the couple men I just described. And if you guys don't mind, what you want to, I would like to hear what your response is.
Well, your mic's going out a little bit.
My mic?
Yeah, it went down a little bit.
Oh, okay, I'm gonna try to fix it. But I'll
good
start.
now.
Okay, I'll pass it to you, Thule. Thule, you know, if you're, you know, I know if you're looking for a man, that's the type of man that you want. What kind of work that you're going to do? What kind of work are you going to do? And also, what are the things that you're going to bring that you think that these are the things that generally men are looking for, that's going to be able to meet his expectations and what he wants in a relationship?
Well, I think for me personally, I'm not looking for anything, but if I was,
Yeah.
I'm the type of person, I allow things to come because I do have a very strong faith. So I see it as if it's meant to happen, then things will align to do so. I'm a big firm believer in working on yourself, but yes, if your goal is marriage, if your goal is to be with someone long term and, you know, have that relationship, then you do need to find out what are the expectations of that person, and then are you willing to meet those expectations? Does that change your identity as a person, or does it help you grow? Can you grow together? So that's how I would see it. I feel like what she was saying a lot of was about herself, but also a lot of more materialistic things. And I think if you are, again, coming from a place of insecurity, right, and you're doing all the work and doing everything, but then you have other people blaming you and saying that you're not doing it right. So if she's going on dates, you know, maybe when she's going on these dates with these people, that self-confidence that she's worked so hard for, she's losing because she still has these other people who are saying, no, this is what you're doing wrong. So again, I feel like both parties have to know what they want, and transparency and communication is so vital. And again, if that's what you're working towards, that's why you need to communicate. Like, this is what I want from you. This is what I expect out of a partner, and vice versa.
Okay. All right, Thule. And just I just want to keep it simple. So, because we're talking about the work that women have to do to get to attract the long-term committed relationship and marriage from the man that she wants. So, in general, you know, based on what your experience with your friends and also families, what are what's the top three? If I had to ask you, what are the top three needs of a man when it comes to a long-term relationship in a marriage? What's the first three things that comes to your mind? The top three things men are looking for in a woman in a relationship, especially when it comes to long-term in marriage. What are the top three things that come to your mind?
I would think that a man would want, his partner to be empathetic, to be understanding, to be supportive, to know that even though he is the man and, the provider, but also give him that space to be in touch with his emotions as well, because yes, men, I don't see it that men should be the provider and men should do this or that. I feel like it all depends on the person, but that's how I see it, that men would want that from their partner, is someone that is supportive, of whatever ambitions they have, whatever goals they have, be the cheerleader, be the coach, like, hey babe, you got this, you can do it. But also allow them to be the man. And, some women don't like this, but I feel this way, that it is okay to be submissive as a woman. And it doesn't mean that, you're giving away all your rights or whatever. It's just your role as a woman, being feminine, being in your element as a woman. So I feel like those are the things that possibly men would look for.
Okay. All right. Appreciate it, Tuli. All right. You said empathetic, space, giving some space, some emotions, supportive, cheerleader, and coach. And okay. All right. Definitely we'll love to come back and we can have that discussion. I'll pass it to you, Kimberly. If women are willing to, if women are willing to do the work in order to attract a man that's looking for a long-term and a marriage and a wife, what's the top three things that that comes to mind that the women should work on? That these are things that typically, in general, men are looking for in a long-term committed relationship and marriage.
I feel like with especially like men nowadays, obviously like they want their women like submissive and obviously also like supportive, loving. Most men they want that caring, but like also not in a way where they're being limited to what they want to do, basically. Because sometimes I think that's where it like clashes. And I feel like with us women, we're very vocal with what we want. So I think sometimes it comes off as we're like very naggy and very like chatty. And, I think that's just how we're like programmed as women. What we feel is what we say. Like we tend to just like say that and let them know. But then some men are not really like, like receptive of it, wherein they're not very emotional. I feel like a lot of men are very emotional to where when they're having that kind of conversation, especially when you just started like dating, like physical attraction is there, but then there's another thing wherein, hey, like what do you want? Like what are your expectations like from a woman, and then vice versa. I would think most women are like, hey, like I want a long-term relationship. Like 5 years from now, I want kids, or like 10 years from now, like I want to get married, yada, yada, yada. But I think with, men, they kind of like have to like fill it out first and see how it goes before they actually like commit to it. Like I like someone that at one point, like I asked, like, what's your type with a girl? And this man was just like, like men know what they want. Once they find that woman that they want, they work for that woman. They do anything to like keep that woman. And I was just like mind blown, because I'm like, okay, well, because with us, with things like, oh, what can we do for this person to want us? Like we're women, most are pleaser. Like we love to like please, but I guess everyone's just different. But number one thing again is like the communication between like the man and the woman once they start talking, and like eventually like moving forward, like what they want to see in the future. Like, is this person the one you want to like be with long term? Is this like a marriage type of thing, or is this just like, yeah, okay, like let's try it and see where it goes type of thing?
All right. Thank you so much for sharing that, Kimberly. Appreciate that. I see a lot of you guys. Apollo Fest on the live chat. Tim, Shaquille Oatmeal, Glow Donato. I've never seen you here before. So shout out to you, Glow Donato. Seven and never seen you before. Thank you so much for jumping on the show. So a lot of new faces, new names here. So I do appreciate you guys for being part of this live show tonight. So definitely like and subscribe, but I'll keep it moving. I'll pass it to you, Shelby. Then I'll pass it to the fellas. What's your reaction? What are the ladies are saying? I'd love to hear the male perspective. But Shelby, same thing. If a woman, if you're as a woman want to put in that work, and you want to attract that masculine provider, protector, traditional value type man that wants a committed relationship, what are the top three things when it comes to a men's needs or expectations that are looking for that women should put in work to attract that type of man? Go ahead, Shelby.
Yeah, if I had to guess what men are looking for, I'd say number one, someone that they're attracted to physically. So I feel like her putting in the effort to making herself look good is usually what number one men look for. Two, they want someone that they can like enjoy their time with. So obviously they don't want someone that's just like yelling and nagging and freaking out on them all the time. They want to be with someone that they can enjoy their time with, and like they're not always like upset when they're hanging out with them or whatever. They want to have fun. And then what was my third thing? Yeah, I don't know. I feel like usually the men's role is to be the provider or giving, and the woman's the receiver. So when men are like, well, what do I get? What do I get? It's like, oh, that's another thing. Men want like love and support. They want someone that's going to be loving and supportive. Obviously, that's what you normally would receive from the feminine, is a loving, supportive person. Yeah, I think that's general.
All right. No worries. Thank you so much, Shelby, Kimberly, and Tully. Thank you for your genuine answers. But this is actually a great discussion to have, because Harrison, you didn't bring it up. The men in general, we kind of have an idea of what women are looking for, that we've been taught by that at a very young age. But there are a lot of women out there who probably don't know what men are looking for, especially in Western society. Because if we talk about more about things, what we look for, oftentimes if you don't get the same amount of attention online, or some of us might get canceled. So, fellas, I want to pass it to you guys. We're having an honest conversation right now. You got a chance to hear the top three things that these ladies said that if the women, if they wanted to attract that masculine, traditional type man, caliber man that's looking for a committed relationship, they kind of listed what they think about the top three needs of a man. I want to pass it back to the fellas. Fellas, what's your honest reaction to those needs? Are those the top three needs in general? I'm saying in general. All men are a little bit different, but in general, what's your reaction to those top three needs? Is that the type of things that women should generally be working on, if that's the type of man they want? I'll start with you, Harrison. What's your reaction to what the lady said?
If it's okay with you, I feel bad. Brother Sophisticated Jerk's been sitting here.
Okay. No, I was gonna come back to Jerk, but
okay.
Do your thing, man. We're good.
Yeah, I
got it, brother. I wanted to say, I would love to hear your take. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Okay, I'll pass it to you, Jerk. Then I'll come back to you, Harrison. But Jerk, thank you for jumping on as a guest. Always good to have you on the panel. But what's your reaction to the things that the women share, that what they think that that type of caliber men that the masculine provider protector is looking for something long term, looking for a wife? Is that the type of things that they generally look for? What's your reaction to that?
Yeah, I think they was kind of spot on, with the stuff they mentioned. I think overall, men we're pretty basic, simplicity. You could just roll it up into one word. Like, we just looking for simplicity, that's pretty much it. But can I just circle back to the video clip real quick?
Yeah.
Which I was just discussing. I think one of the biggest issues I see a lot of people having, and it's just not females, is men and women. She definitely had a lot of entitlement that she was expressing in that video. But it's just like, I do see that she's putting in some work, but she's putting in the work for the wrong type of people. And I think a lot of times physical attraction, we just got to put that on the table. I think that's men and women both, I think the number one selection criteria now, and it's just evident, it's just like we're drawn to physical attraction. So there's a ton of people, especially like guys, we're being honest, like physical attractive females. Like there's a ton of guys that would like be good for her, would treat her great, but she just don't want those guys. And that's just the reality. So she's probably shooting for like the type of guys that have a ton of options also. They're very attractive. They're probably hitting the gym also, and they have an option. So they play in the field. So it's just like, since she can't lock them down, she's pissed off. But there's a lot of good guys out here that would treat her like a queen and all that. She just don't want them dudes. Same thing. Guys do the same thing. So that's why I was saying there's a lot of entitlement in what she's saying. And we could just be honest with that.
Yeah.
But I think as far as what the ladies mentioned, y'all were spot on as far as what guys typically want. Yeah, we don't want to be nagged. Simplicity, some respect in the household. That's pretty much it.
I thought of the third thing was like they want like a ride or die girl.
Yeah, loyalty and commitment.
Loyalty,
So yeah. So now y'all, I think y'all covered everything.
And I do want to add, sorry not to cut you off, but I think it's important too for her to have ambition and have goals too. So I do want to add that. That's probably something.
Ambition and goals. Okay.
Mhm.
No worries. Thank you so much. And go ahead, Harrison.
I want to add on to what Sophisticated Jerk was saying about the entitlement. I think, because I didn't think about that, but I think you have a point. Because with all these different kind of podcasts that exist out there, telling men how to, operate in this dating space, it seems like men today are less apt to just accept a woman just for being pretty. It seems like now, going to the days where men are just drooling over beautiful women and trying to fight each other in order to get her attention. It's like guys are like being told it's no longer enough for them to just be beautiful. They got to be able to bring something of substance to the relationship. And I'm seeing it actually more and more now. So her frustration could actually reflect that, because as beautiful as she is, if she can't find a guy, right, that would just give her the world just based off of looks, because back in the day, men were doing that.
Yeah.
Seems like times are changing now, where men are like, you know what, I'm not going to be giving all my resources just because she's beautiful. I want to make sure that I'm investing in a sure thing, and beauty may be able to give me the courage or the desire to spark up a conversation. But I don't think men are looking to get into relationships with women anymore just because they're hot.
Yeah, Harrison. So that's a great point, because that's kind of what I was getting at. Where I think now, like, and especially when you get older, that's we done been through stuff. Everybody, men and women. Yeah. Where it's just like you start refining your criteria for what you're looking for. So, since she's probably getting a little older, she's running into guys, like you said, that are like, hey, I'm looking for something a little deeper. So they might see like other women that have like a lot of good qualities, and they're overlooking her because they're just like, hey, man, you there's a lot of red flags. You get better at spotting those earlier once you kind of start getting more wisdom and more knowledge and stuff. And I do think like podcasts is waking people up a little bit, because we do mention that quite a bit over here, with Will and some of the dames podcasts, where it's just like, hey, look beyond just like the superficial stuff, like look deeper at what characteristics they had. So I think that's where she's having the issues at, where she didn't mention once, like, hey, as far as like her personality, is she pleasant to be around? So it's typically, that's why I was like, when people don't mention those type of things, like, hey, man, people love being around me, I'm pleasant, and they just focus on like the superficial stuff. Hey, I'm attractive. Like, you already know kind of what time it is with them.
Those are the ones not complaining on that.
Oh, yeah. No, they're dating. They're locking it in.
Probably.
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much, Jerk. I mean, just to add on to what Jerk said before I pass it to Phil, and I'll come back full circle with the ladies. I think if you're talking about a man that has a plan for his life and a vision, and you're talking about a good man, and you're talking about a man that wants to be in that leadership role, I think oftentimes what women don't understand, like we often try to find women that is a representation of us when it comes to our values. And I think that's something that women need to consider, that if you're looking for a certain type of man, and you want to align with him, are you going to be a reflection of him, the things that he believes in, his values, his morals, and also his boundaries as a man? And oftentimes what I see is, women, they want the good man, the strong man with values and principle and commitment, but oftentimes you guys don't align when it comes to your values, and oftentimes the things that you do or you bring to the table is a exact opposite,
Mhm.
and not a reflection of that man. But I'll pass it to you, Phil. Phil, what do you think? What's your response to the ladies? And then I'll pass it back to you, ladies. If anything, you want to respond to the fellas. But I do have some things that we can discuss to keep the conversation going. But Phil, what do you want to respond to the ladies? What they of the needs that they were talking about?
Indeed. Well, I'll tell you this. I like what you all said because it shows that you're trying to, you know, think beyond just the surface. To add to what you all said and to what everyone has said, I would say number one, and I guess you could break it down into what embodies it, but number one is respect. Man and woman, especially men, want respect. They need it, you know. We need it. Two would be, you know, and actually, you know what? Let me circle back. Number one, a help meet. A help meet. What embodies that help meet? Number two, respect. And number three, bring me peace. You know, be the peace. Be that be that, as was said, cheerleader. You know,
Mhm.
and when you have and help me, when you have someone that is going to embody your visions, your dreams, they're going to add substance to your vision, then that means you have a and I don't use the word partner, not a partner. You have a teammate, if you will, but you
Mhm.
have a helpmeet that is willing to be one with you. And when we talk about being one and on one accord, there's some depth into that, because then you can see where both is being fed, both is being nourished. It's like a woman having understanding. To a woman, to me, is being able to understand the ups and downs, the different things that's going on, whether it's with emotions, whether it's with people, not trying to act as if your opinion is valid and stuff like that. Some people want to say, "Oh man, you don't," you know, and I've heard it on different podcasts where you're like, you're not that productive. I really don't want to hear what you have to say, you know. But that's garbage. That's garbage. You definitely want someone that has substance, and that's why I'm using the word substance, because they're value. They add value to the world. They add value to your life, and likewise, to me, you want to add value to their life. But that's a team. That's going to be a full unit of being, intentional with. Uh, and I guess we can go into that a little bit, but I will add this one thing. Becoming a wife, what does becoming a wife mean to you? That's one of the things that I kind of want to pose, and one of the things I would kind of want to dig into, because I think you can definitely do a lot to learn what a wife is, and what a wife is, not just to the masses, but again, a wife of substance, you know, and to me, it's really not that complicated. It really isn't. We make it complicated because we want to make, you know, a megaverse type of mindset. And, there's all of these different catechisms of, and it's try to sound intelligent, but at the end of the day, there's simplicity, you know, and I like to say in simplicity in Christ. And when he made the mold shaped for a purpose, for a reason, and to have a helpmeet, that's more precious than gold. That's that Proverbs 31 woman that I always talk about, that virtuous woman.
All
And
right.
that's what I need in my life, right? That's what I want.
All right. I appreciate that, Phil. Thank you so much. And Shelby, the new one that just jumped on.
That's Junior right there. Shelby Junior.
We got two Shelbys. We got two Shelbys here tonight. Shelby, I appreciate you. Thank you for making the time, for jumping on the show. I know you had to get off a little bit late, so appreciate you. If you don't mind, just give yourself a quick intro. Your first time here on the pod. Excited to have you on the pod. A lot of new faces here tonight. What's your name? Where you're tuning in from? What do you do? And since we're talking about relationships, what's your relationship status? Go ahead, Shelby.
Okay. Hi, guys. I'm Shelby. I'm 23. I live in Artesia, California. I don't know if any of you guys know where that's at. It's like near Long Beach.
Oh, okay. LA. Okay.
Yeah. I work at a nursing home. I'm the assistant staff developer, and I'm currently single.
All right. Shout out to you, Shelby. Thank you so much. All right. But yeah, the topic we're discussing right now: why are men and women opting out of dating, long-term relationships, and marriage? I shared earlier on the pod. There's a viral clip of this woman, attractive, strong, independent. She has a good career, good job, physically fit, takes care of herself in the gym. But she was she was talking about how it's hard for her to find a long-term serious relationship, and a lot of the guys her age or the type of men that she would want to date are opting out of commitment, opting out of dating, and opting out of marriage. So what's your perspective? What's your opening thoughts about that topic? I would like to hear what you think, and I'll pass it back to the ladies if you want to respond to the fellas. But go ahead, Shelby.
Okay, thank you. I was watching on my drive home, so I did see the clip. My initial thought was, whenever there's somebody who says everybody else is the problem, they're probably not self-aware. And I feel like that was her problem, that her therapist is even trying to point out to her. Like, hey, there's something that is going on inside of you that we need to discover. And I think once she gets that, that's going to be the breakthrough for her to even be able to be ready to date. Because if you're trying to find your purpose and your value in a man, you're never going to find it. And I noticed, like she was saying, like manifesting and all these things. And so I'm like, okay, she probably doesn't have God in her life either. So she really doesn't know her purpose, her value. And she's looking to other people to seek validation. And because they're not giving it to her, she's spiraling. I don't know her personally, but that was my initial reaction. And there was that other question of like what I think a man wants.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm single. But one thing that my dad told me, he passed away in 2021, but one thing he told me before he passed was, to make a relationship work, you need respect. And so I got it tattooed on my hand. So that I would remember that. Yeah. And I also got honor, just to remember to honor him and the Lord also.
Hey, Harrison, that's the work I'm talking about, right there.
Yeah, 100%.
And that's the
100%.
Dropping game. Drop your Cash App in a private chat, damn it. I'm about to see you.
You want to see tattoos that men are looking for in the body. That's the type of sacrifice I'm looking for. But thank you so much, Shelby. I appreciate you. I know you were busy, and thank you for jumping on. Thank you so much for jumping on to be part of the
Junior
panel.
came in cooking. That's what I'm talking about.
All right.
But hey, Will, can I ask everybody a question?
Of course, go ahead, Jerk.
To the ladies. So, are just to everybody, what 3 things do women want from men? You know, like the question you asked everybody as far as like what 3 things do men want? What 3 things would women want from men?
Top 3. Your top 3.
Your top 3.
Number 1
I
is
would
the most
say,
important.
like-
Number 1, most
But
important.
what if we do the guys first and let the women say if we're right or wrong?
Yeah.
Ooh, those-
Yeah.
Okay, we can do that. Okay, all right. Harrison, family values first.
All right, I'll go first. The definitely part of the 3 Ps. Somebody that's a good provider. Someone who is going to be a protector, and someone that will love them unconditionally.
Okay.
Okay, very good. All right, Harrison. Thank you so much, Phil. Top 3.
Top 3. Love. 1. Understanding. Knowing how, understanding, being compassionate. Having the buzzword emotional intelligence. But I think it's deeper than emotional intelligence. It's having the ability to understand when I need some, compassion, when I need some, when they need compassion or need a understanding and needing that time to, kind of defrag and to just get some things in a sense out of their head. Being, able to display that and without judgment, so yeah. And third thing I would say is I'll say this, but I'll break it down later. Happiness.
Okay, happiness. Okay. All right. So thank you so much for sharing that, Phil. I pass it to you, Jerk. Top 3.
Okay. Number 1, money. Is that provision pretty much? Okay.
Oh my god.
2, I would say damn, this is kind of hard. All right. I'll say emotional everything, because they'll say emotional intelligence, emotional availability. So I'm just gonna roll it up and say emotional. Then I'll say third would be consistency. So those are my top 3.
Top 3. Okay. I mean, for me, I can. I don't need 3. I can embody everything a woman's looking for in one thing. And shout out to Paulo Fessa. He shared this on the previous podcast on the masculine mind. But everything that a woman's looking for can be defined in one thing. And shout out to Paulo Fessa, but he shared it. But it's absolute safety. That's it. Women are just looking for a man to give her absolute safety, and it encompasses everything, all aspects. Financially, women are looking for absolute safety financially from a man. Emotionally, which is love. Women are looking for emotional safety in the man that can provide her. That also comes with mentally. That also comes with spiritually. That's going into leadership and the way he moves and the way he acts. But I believe that in my experience that women in general is if they're looking for something committed long term and stable, they're looking for absolute safety. That's physically, mentally, sexually, financially. We can talk about morally when it comes to morals and values. So if you provide that as a man to a woman, and to make sure that what can I do to make her absolute safe and trust in me, and you provide all those things for her, and it's different for every woman. But if you can provide that woman absolute safety, generally that's the type of thing they look for long term. I'm not talking about short term. I'm not talking about hookups. We're talking about long-term relationships and marriage. So that's what I want to share. All right, so ladies, are we wrong? I want to pass it back to you guys. We just got a chance to respond to you guys. Did we just miss it? Are we full of shit? Or do you or is it truth? This truth to what we just shared right now? I'll pass it. I'll start with you, Tilly. What's your response?
What you just said is exactly what it is. Sum it up. That's simple.
Just yep.
And also, what someone else mentioned is to also be our piece as well. That's what we want too, is that equal balance between the two. So yeah.
Okay, Kimberly.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Yeah, safety, and then obviously like openness, and I mean, money and like being like a provider is like one thing, but like I feel like most of us, especially nowadays, like women can basically like do it too. We can do like 50-50, anything like that, but the safety and like emotional safety, being like being able to, so I had like past relationship before wherein yes they love you but they're not understanding what love means, and it's at a point wherein like no, you can't have any other friends because like you love me, I love you, we have to like just just the two of us is fine. So definitely safety number one.
All right, thank you, Kimberly. Shelby.
Which one?
Oh, the what? The Shelby
Senior, Shelby Senior.
I feel old.
Number.
No, because she has Kingsley. I call her Queen Shelby. I'll call her Queen Shelby. Go ahead,
Okay.
Queen Shelby.
I like that better. That's better. I was trying to think of like the top three, and I'm like, it's hard to choose just three because
Exactly.
I need more than just three. But my number one and two, I was gonna say respect and trust are like the biggest things for me. But I feel like that also goes under the umbrella of safety, like what you were saying.
Mm.
If they're respecting me and I can trust them, then I feel safe. Type of thing. So that's like and that is like an umbrella for financial safety. Like that's everything. So
Right.
I agree with that.
Okay, and then Shelby Junior.
Cash App Selby.
Yes, safety is a really good word. I never would have thought of that. A man that I can respect. I don't want to be able to like punk you out. Like that's how I'm like, oh, like I can't respect you. A man of integrity, even like in the way that he works. If I know you're integrous, then I know I can trust you. And a man of God. If the man is not submitted to God, then I don't know what master he's serving, and that's how I know I can't follow you.
Yeah. All right.
Can I?
Go ahead, Harrison. You want to say something? Go ahead.
So Shelby Jr., I got to give you probably a little bit of pushback, right? Something that you said about a man that you have to, a man that you respect, somebody that you wouldn't, what was the word?
Punk.
Punk?
Punk you out, yeah.
Why is that on the onus of the man and not on the woman who's doing the punking?
Oh, that's good. That's good. Well, really, I don't want to be able to like push you over.
I'm gonna say, I think
Because I know myself, I would take advantage of that. And at that point, if I can, then I'll be like, okay, this isn't the one for me.
So well, then who needs to do the work?
Me. That's why I'm single.
So yeah, because I've heard that before, right? Like
talk about a man that doesn't have strong boundaries. I think that goes with a man that doesn't have strong boundaries.
Strong boundaries is different than punking him, though.
But if he doesn't have strong boundaries, then he can kind of just be pushed over in a sense,
So all right, so I say it like this, right? How do you know if you could punk a guy?
Like, go ahead.
Well, you would have to do it first, right? You would have to punk him first to see if he's going to receive it. Why even go there?
It's more like not really like I'm punking you, but like, can I keep getting my way? Can I keep getting my way with you?
Got you. Okay.
Yeah.
Got you.
Yeah, because it's like if I can keep getting my way, I know at some point I'm at fault. But if you're gonna fold, then that's also part of like you're not a man of integrity.
it kind of goes back to the safety kind of thing that
Mm-hmm.
we've been kind of talking about. If she can kind of say kind of things that should be checked and they're not getting checked, and then she's like, well, Joe Blow can say something to me, and is he going to be able to protect me? Is he going to be? Am I going to feel safe with him because you really don't have a backbone? She's probably probably talking about more of a someone without a backbone, someone that's more, another buzzword, simpish, or you know what I mean, just don't have that type of, like you said, integrity or strength to lead a man of strength. But that's kind of what I think you're kind of saying there. You need to have a backbone.
Can I ask Shelby a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
Would you say most females kind of do that, test the boundaries and stuff?
Oh yeah, yeah.
I see some heads shaking over there. Okay.
Hey,
guys do it too.
Yeah, exactly. How many
Yeah.
times are you gonna forgive me?
Mhm.
Right?
That, forgive me, is kind of wild. But some
That's
people
wild.
need an authoritative figure. They want someone to put them in a place. You hear people say, well, you can't handle me. Well, again, why do I need to handle you?
Mhm. Yeah.
Why is it? Again, it's self work, right? Why? And I've had a young lady in the past tell me, you know, I know I was wrong, but I just wanted to keep pushing, and see if you would break, see if you would fold.
Mhm.
And like argue, like literally arguing with me for something. And back then, this was like maybe 15, like 20 some years ago, when I was a young man. I didn't really, like, she couldn't do that now with me, because I'm not going to argue with you.
Mhm.
I'm not going to do that, because then if I argue with you, then it feels like then you think that the discussion is going to be productive, because it kind of goes back to that emotional thing. But you think that also it's like, well, this is the way that I show my love, or this is the way. No, that's again that kind of toxic thing. It's not. Men don't want. We were talking about peace. A couple of people said about peace. They want peace, but they get an adrenaline rush. They get, it's like, oh, you're boring. You're boring. You hear that sometimes and stuff. So you have different, women that seek that type of, like, hey, shut your mouth, or shut the bleep. You know what I mean? They, or and they want to be checked. This is like, oh, my man, okay, maybe I'm, I'll do stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
But
that's toxic as hell.
toxic. That's toxic. But again, that goes back to what a woman, and this kind of goes to me, the onus of the elder women teaching the younger women what it takes, because they've experienced certain things, to actually be a wife, to be someone of substance, to be someone that has that integrity, that has that type of love and support and respect, and can be his safe space, like, as y'all have said.
Okay.
Can I just make
Yeah.
a quick point?
Yeah.
So going back to the video clip, now y'all kind of see why some guys might be opting out if they constantly getting tested, and we got the pressures of like work, people trying to figure themselves out. So people might just be like, you know what, man, I'm always kind of getting pushed to that limit. Our boundaries are always getting tested. So I just got too much going on in my life. So maybe I just need to probably leave this person alone. So I think a lot of times that what tends to play out too, where like I do see where females kind of get confused, but it's just like, guys do have those limitations also. We people too. So it's just like we don't always want to be shit tested, when we're trying to, like, build a legacy, or we're trying to, like, women say they want ambition. So a lot of times guys are like trying to move up that corporate ladder. You're dealing with shit coming from the job. So I think more or less that's why a lot of guys are also kind of tapping out of the dating process because they're just like, hey, it's just too much with all this added pressure that comes from like a capitalistic society and stuff.
Mhm.
Yeah, I want to ask the ladies a question. You know, we're talking about shit tests. Well, how do you, like, for you personally, like, how do you shit test a man? Like, how do you shit test it? Well, what other things do? Because I've had women on this podcast before, and they share different ways of their shit test when it comes to men. And I also understand why women do that, because I mentioned before, you know, for women, one of the things that you guys look for in a man is absolute safety. So I think there's an innate biological response for a lot of women to sometimes react in a way just to test him to make sure that he is the man that he says he is, right? Because any man can just say whatever to you, especially when you meet for the first time, but you really want to make sure, okay, he says all these good things, but is he really that type of man? And I think there's an innate feeling or within women that you might react naturally in a way to just shit test him to see if he passes. But I want to pass it back to you guys. Like, what do you got? What's your shit test and do you do? I'll start with you, Kimberly.
I guess, like, are we like talking about like when you like first like started like meeting each other and like kind of like see how
Well, it doesn't
like
matter
how he
which
would
point
like
of
tolerate
it doesn't
it?
matter which point of relationship. What's something that you do just to test him, like to shit test him to make sure that okay, that he, you know, he's the type of man that you want him to be, or you expect him to be. You know, Shelby Jr. brought up example. You know, she doesn't want a man to be with a man that she could just run all over, right? That she can just walk all over him. All right, so you know, she wants a man that's gonna stand up for himself. So that's something that she does to test him. But what do you do? Like, it depends on the outcome that you want, but what's something that you do that just to shit test a man?
I feel like, because like me personally, I like I'm attracted to a person or like my love language, not even like, but like for other people, like if someone makes time for me, that's when I know that they actually like do care about me. So I think with me, I would like if they start like making plans and kind of like flake on them or say it's like, hey, I can't do it tonight, or can we like do it on a different day? I probably like do that like once or twice. And if they're still trying to like actually make that effort to like, hey, like, do you think maybe you're free today or like, you know, the next day? I think that's when I can kind of like see, because you know, quality time is like not something that you can take back. You know, some people are like, hey, like I'd rather like spend my time doing something else. But if that person wants to spend that time with you, that to me means a lot. So I think that's how I kind of like test people pretty much.
Okay, so you will purposely reschedule things, or just see?
Not like purposely. I get like really anxious like meeting new people. So sometimes it's so hard for me to actually like meet them. Like I feel like it never happened where like if we're gonna meet up for the first time and you're like someone that I just like met online or something, I don't think I'll be like ready to like meet you right away. It's gonna have to like be moved like at one point and like be shifted, because I get like really anxious about it. So
Yeah.
when I mean, it's not like totally like okay, like if you plan it tomorrow like at 7 p.m., I'll probably like make some like, you know, like comments about it. It's like, hey, like, you think maybe we can do like some other day or, you know, some other time at a different place, something like that. Because I get like, again, I get like really nervous about it. And I think that's how I kind of like see it when how they respond to me is, you know, if they're like, yeah, that's fine. Because some people would be like, whatever, like this person does not want to like meet up, like, you know, on to the next person, on to the next one, you know. But if they're actually like trying to like make it work, especially like with someone like me who's like very anxious in meeting like other people, like I get like really like anxious like to be like socializing with people. I think that's like a big thing.
Okay, no worries. Shelby, Queen Shelby. Yeah. Yeah. Well, what's the shit test that you do? Just to, like,
I don't think I have like a shit test. I feel like I kind of just like I just like kind of watch how they like what they do, how they act, how they interact with me or other people type of thing, and just like see their character. I know if a man isn't like, if he doesn't have like a set schedule or has like plans or whatever in his life, and he's just willing to like throw everything away and just be like, I'll hang out with you this late, like, and constantly wants to hang out with me 24/7 type of thing. And it's like, I feel like he doesn't really have like a strong boundary or a strong like his own life going on type of thing. So that will like tell me. And also I've noticed like even just how they interact with other people, like even other men. For example, if like I feel like this just happened recently. I was watching one man speak with another man, and one man was just like running the conversation, and he like didn't even like kind of like stand up for himself or like cut it off. And I was like, that's kind of like a turn off. Like he's not even like standing up for himself, like in a sense. So I feel like that's where the not having the backbone or not having his boundaries is kind of like, okay, you're a pushover, I could just run you over type of thing. So
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Shelby.
uh-huh.
I thought your shit test was going to be physical because I know you're always in the gym. So like you can do a pull up.
If you can't lift more than my weight.
Okay. If you can't bench, does it bench or squat? Does it matter or
What? Wait, what?
you're talking about your weight? Does it matter if it's bench or squat? Like if you can't bench your
He
weight?
needs to overpress my weight.
Oh, okay. Overpress. Okay. All right. You heard it, fellas. Back to you, Tuli. Tuli, same thing. Shit test before we move on to the next topic. Tuli, like, is there a shit test that you do?
Yeah, no, not really. I'm such a lover and a hopeless romantic that, like, if a guy comes to me and says, this is who I am, this is what I'm about, I take his word for it. However, if the actions are not aligning, that's when I then step back and, like, okay, you're not for me because your words and your actions, they don't match up. So, and I'm a big energy person, and so once that energy shifts, that's when I'm like, I'm out.
Okay.
So yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, Tuli. Appreciate you guys. Paulo Festa, good for jumping on as a guest. Appreciate you. I see Marley December vlogs on the live chat. Joe, good to see you in the live chat. E-Rock, PAF, a lot of you guys jumping on the live stream. Thank you so much. I do see a lot of guys watching from IG. Definitely come over to YouTube if you do want to jump on the panel. We do have some room. And then Shelby Jr. real quick. What's your shit test that you do specifically?
Specifically, if I see, like, I notice something like, oh, you said this, but now you're doing this, I'm going to press that button. I'm going to be like, oh, what happened with that? Oh, what happened with that? And then if he's like, then I'm like, okay, like, now you're trying to find an answer. And that's where my test is like, are you going to take accountability for this or not?
Okay.
And if you're not, then it's like, oh, okay, like, you're just going to scramble.
Okay, you got to press them to be accountable. Okay.
Mm.
All right, fair enough. All right, thank you so much, Shelby Jr. But I want to bring something up that was that was shared on the video, and it's something that's always talked about in open discussions, and there's a lot of disagreement and agreement online, and I would love to have this discussion with the ladies and the fellows on this panel. But one of the things that the girl in the clip in the video that we shared earlier, she talked about that she's strong and independent, and men are intimidated of her strong in her independence. And I understand that we do live in a society today. You know, women can, a lot of women out there have to be strong and independent to be able to financially take care of themselves, pursue a career, pursue education, to make sure that they can take care of it and then live their own quality lives, especially when they're single. I saw Tuli, I wrote it down. I know Tuli, you brought up that men are looking for ambition and goals is something that men prioritize, especially when it comes to a wife in a long-term relationship. I want to have that conversation, and I think I mean, based on my own personal experience and having conversation with men, and I would love to hear the men. I'll start with the men, what their thoughts about it, and I'll pass it back to the ladies. Typically, when you're, for me, I don't like to use the word strong independent, because strong independent means to me you're just an adult. All right, you're an adult living your life, taking care of yourself. That's why strong independence to me. But I think for me, from my personal perspective, the why I think for me it can be a negative when I hear that from women, because for me is, if we're going to build a family, it's going to be teamwork. It's not about our individual needs. It's going to be about what the relationship and the family needs. And what are we willing to do it to make it work? And I think sometimes when I hear women talk about strong independence, if they're talking about, if the context they're talking about strong independence means I just want to be an adult and I want to take care of myself, I can agree with that. But if you're talking about, I want a relationship, I want to be a wife, I want to have a family where it involves two people, but I still want to be strong, independent, that's contradicting the very definition of a relationship. It's not about independence. It's about interdependence, right? Depending on one another. So I think oftentimes that the strong independence is a buzzword that people like to use, not understanding the term and how the perception of how people interpret it, especially from the men's perspective. But strong independence is something that I hear from a lot of women. And oftentimes when men would say, I'm not looking for a strong, independent wife, or to make a woman that's strong and independent to a wife, the criticism that we get from women is, oh, you're intimidated by me. You can't handle me, right? And I think that's why we need to have these type of conversations to kind of address it, because I do understand the generation of women today, why they're strong and independent. So I don't have a problem with women going to school. I don't have a problem going out there chasing their dreams, career, being ambitious. But if you're looking for a man that's a provider, protector, looking for a man that's a leader, if you're looking for a man that has a direction and a plan and a vision of what he wants to do with his life, and he's typically going to look for a woman that's going to be more in a supportive role, not come into his life and be strong, independent, and try to go against the very things that he's trying to build the relationship with. So this is a very important conversation I would like to have with you guys, and I would like to dive into it because it was something that was shared on the clip, and I think also on the panel, some of you guys also mentioned as well, strong independence, ambition, goals, and some of you ladies said that this is what men are looking for, and we got some men on this panel who are married, have wives. So I'll pass it to the men, and then we'll pass it back to the ladies and what your response to that. But fellas, if a man is looking for a wife, if a man is looking for a long-term relationship, and we're talking about the men that most women desire, not the undesirable men. I'm talking about the men who are masculine. They have their life together. They have a goal. They have a vision. They want to be a leader. They want to build something long-term. In general, our men is strong and independent. It's at the top of the list of what we look for in a long-term relationship, especially a woman that's going to make our wife. I'll start with you, Harrison. Go ahead.
There's a video that I saw that I'm trying to find that spoke. I think this is it, but there's a different video. And just so I'm clear, can you repeat the question? Because I think this video lines up. Repeat that question one more time.
So yeah, on that video, the woman said, I'm looking for a man, a husband, but I'm strong and independent. Mm-hmm. And then what she also said in that video, men are intimidated. You can't handle my strong and independent. So my question to you is from the men's perspective, is strong, independent a quality that men typically look for, especially if they're looking for something long-term and a wife?
So, okay, can I share my screen?
Yeah. If you want to share it real quick.
Yeah, let me share my screen. I want to play this video real quick for you guys, if you don't mind. But this is one of the videos I saw. Let me see if I can make this work, because I don't have a StreamYard account. Let me see. Present. Share screen. Share screen. It's easiest for two monitors. Share screen.
Is it on YouTube or TikTok?
It's on Instagram.
Oh, okay.
Let's see if this will work. Also share audio. All right, let me know if you guys can you guys see this?
Let me see.
All right, I think you got to control it.
Okay, there it is. Okay. There we go. Go
ahead.
All right,
let me play this video. Hopefully it'll play.
Right. Only getting married truly.
Wait, hold on 1 second. Let me see if I do this again.
When a man wants to get married, he's only getting married truly for one reason. Because let me be honest with you women. The men can work and provide for themselves. He does not necessarily need you to cook, clean, and have sex, because he can get sex from multiple women. They're giving it out. A lot of them can cook and clean. Their mother taught them, or they can pay someone to get it. The culture is telling them, do not get married. So why would a man go past what the culture is telling him and choose to have a wife? Because with a wife, you can now have love. You can now have nurturing. You can have support. You can have affection. This is what he can't get from a roommate. So if that is not what you're leading with in your relationships with men, is love, support, nurturing, and respect, this is why your husband is now pulling away, because in the beginning you gave him those things. But as you got into the relationship, you got bitter, you got resentful, you start seeing his flaws, start counting that against him, you start measuring him against other men, and now you're pulling back on the love, the affection, and the nurturing.
Okay.
Yeah. So that pretty much, like, I agree with her in this situation, and in what she was saying about the situation. In that interdependency must exist in a marriage, right? And there's an idea that men have to, I say it like this: men in society are looked at as simply utilities, right? So they're utilities. We are only valued if we can do something for somebody or produce something for somebody. Intrinsically, men aren't valued. So when we have this kind of conversation of interdependence, it's pretty difficult, because people start looking at relationships like, what can I get out of it, instead of what can I bring to it. So even in dating, right? We date people that makes us feel good. We date people that is doing something for us. Men might want to date a woman who was bad because they trying to smash, and a woman may date a guy who is well off because she might be looking for a good free meal. It's when we look at interdependence, when we look at the dynamics within a marriage or a relationship that makes it work, that independence starts off with, what am I willing to give to this person in a relationship? What about me? What within me am I giving first before I'm looking to receive? Okay, if I can identify what I'm willing to give, then I can go with, okay, I'm willing to give this. So now here's what I'm willing to expect from somebody else. If we look at it from that perspective, interdependence will make a lot more sense. It won't allow somebody else to feel like they're doing all the work, or they're feeling like a utility. But then in this specific situation, understanding that I'm willing to give this in a relationship, and I know that my spouse is able to depend on me because I'm willing to give this in a relationship, will pretty much catapult relationships into success. But hopefully I answered the question, right?
Yeah, well, a part of it, but the question, the direct question I was asking, because it's something that women will always use to lead with in a relationship. Look, I'm strong and independent, and if you can't handle me, you're intimidated, and that's the criticism for a lot of women when they say, when they lead with their strong independence, and they oftentimes find themselves that they can't attract men for long-term relationships, and then one of the things they would say, you know what, you're intimidated because I'm strong and independent. So my question was, from the perspective of men, when it comes to a long-term relationship, are we really intimidated by strong, independent women, or is strong, independent a quality in women that we use, that we look for primarily if we're gonna choose a woman to be a wife and go into a long, committed relationship?
So, and I say this respectfully, right?
Yeah.
Raise your hand if you choose to live every day with a headache.
You choose to what?
To live every day with a headache.
No.
Like you choose to live every day having a perpetual migraine, right? You're looking at me like, where are you going with this? So to me, it's like, for a guy looking to get into a relationship with somebody who is strong and independent, it's like asking for a perpetual headache every single day. Okay, because a man would have to fight, have to prove himself constantly to this woman who is strong and independent for her to lose her independence. If she is strong and independent from the very beginning, like I was saying just now, then she's not leading with the right mindset in a relationship. If she's strong and independent, let her be strong and independent. Go do you, boo-boo. Be strong and independent. Live your strong and independent life. Don't say it's going to take a strong man to come into my life and change me because I'm strong and independent. You can be strong, and because you're single, you can have a level of independence. But once you start labeling yourself like that, if a man doesn't want to deal with you, it's not because he's intimidated. He just doesn't want to deal with a headache. he's not going to want to take a Tylenol. I just would rather not deal with the headache. And I say that respectfully. It's and the flip side, if a guy is a perpetual cheater, I think I could change him. No, you're choosing to live every day with a headache. No, don't deal with it. So, ladies, if you don't want to deal with a man is going to cheat, thinking that you're going to change him, a man should not go into a relationship with a strong and independent, or a woman who labels themselves as strong and independent, hoping to change her, because he's going to have a headache every single day trying to change her. So, no, I don't think men are intimidated by it. They just want to do it.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Harrison. I'll pass it to you, Jerk. Jerk's, same thing. Is strong and independent a quality that typically men are looking for when it comes to a wife and long-term committed marriage and relationship?
No, I don't think it's the typical quality guys look for, but I don't think like it's an issue either. If it's true, like I'll say strength and independence. And I like what Harrison was saying. It's just like, no, typically if you're strong and independent, you don't got to go around and announce it. You don't use it as like a tool to like kind of take a swipe or throw it in other people's face. Like, well, I could do this by myself and stuff. It's just like, so I think that's more or less the issue where like Harrison was like breaking it down. It's just not guys are intimidated, because it's like, think about it. If a lot of women are like, I like masculine men, and you're going out, you're getting these masculine guys. Typically, they're not going to be scared of too much if you are properly, like, you have the discernment and you're aligning with it. So they're not going to be scared, typically of nobody like that. Just like Harrison was saying, they just don't want to deal with the difficult person or, the combativeness. So I think a lot of times people come off like very combative, argumentative, versus like the actual strength and independence. Because I mean, truly a masculine guy doesn't mind strong people around him. It's just, like I said, people mix up the term like strength with like ego and all that other stuff. And that's where it gets like mixed up and it becomes like somewhat toxic and stuff.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Jerk. I'll pass it to you, Bottle Festa. Thank you for jumping on as a guest. Good to see you again. But same question. Is strong independence a quality that typically in general men are looking for when it comes to a wife and long-term marriage and relationship?
In its current state and how it's being defined, mostly by women, not necessarily. But there is an element of truth to it, and I think Dirk and Harrison sort of spoke onto it. Typically, when we look at our wives, we pick strong women. And we also pick women who are quite independent in the way that they function within the family. They don't require or need you, but when push comes to shove, they can... they can stand in the gap. And oftentimes when we speak of a very particular type of man, our life can be extremely chaotic, especially if we're young and we met quite young. So the idea of strength from a woman is that, are you of someone who can at least weather the storm of who I am as a man and what I'm developing for me and you in this part of the relationship, right? So there's an element of truth to it. The labeling and how it's being understood is completely misconstrued, whereas it's being preached that strong and independent is this idea that I don't need a man, and that's the wrong definition of it. Strength should come from, this is what only a woman can bring in terms of supplementation to a man's life, and I have that. Not only that, I'm also of character that I can withstand the chaos of time while you develop as a man, while you grow as a man, and what you provide as a man. So there's the element of truth is in there. However, we have to understand its true definition and what that actually looks like. Because I would implore those of us who are married and have quite strong standards and values to look at our wives. We would quite say that they're of strength and that they're quite independent in themselves. So that's where my sort of perspective is from.
All right. Appreciate that, Paulo Fessa. All right. Pass it to you, Phil, and then I'll pass it back to the ladies. We'd love to get the feedback of the ladies on this conversation. But Phil, same thing. Is strong independence typically something, the quality that men are looking for in a wife or in a long-term committed relationship?
No. We're not looking for a strong, independent woman. We're looking for help me, right? Technically, you're looking for someone to complement you, right? I mean, even mean, if you want to look at the equivalent, I would say a equivalent to a strong, independent woman is a you would call him a soy boy, a feminine man. You know, usually women don't want feminine men; they want a masculine man. Usually, men don't want a independent woman; they want a interdependent woman, someone that they can rely on to be strong for them and for themselves and for their children. Right? You exhibit strength. How do you exhibit strength? You're diligent in your work ethic. You're diligent in making sure that the house is cared for. You bring tenderness. You bring kindness. You know, I often talk about this this thing here. Is I mean it's biblical, but again it's practical. A lot of stuff that's biblical is practical. It says here, looking at the character traits of a virtuous woman, it says that her mouth is she opens her mouth with wisdom, right? And her tongue is the law of kindness, right? So to be wise, you have to kind of know what wisdom is and go through that situation of like how am I wise? What makes me wise? You know, and then strength and honor are her clothing. So we're not talking about the outer appearance, but we're talking about the inside. Strength and honor. If strength and honor is her clothing, then she has to make sure that she's in a position to be strong when things are unstable, things are chaotic, when things are awry. She has to be, you know, generally that voice of reason, that voice of calm. Sometimes that's a hard thing to in this day and time to find, because again, you want to champion your helpmeet. You want to champion each other. You know, you got this. You can, you know, we're going to get through this. You know, things. You know, those type of words of kind of, you know, affirmation, if you will. You can do all things through Christ with strength. You know, stuff like that is the stuff that I like to hear. That's written, comes from the book that is reminding me I have to walk in my power. I have to walk in truth. You know what I mean? I can't just be in a sense stagnant or thinking about what is the problem versus, you know, understanding that there's a solution that needs to be made. There's a solution that needs to be attacked. Let's find the solution. So is she going to help me find that solution? Is she going to help me to be the leader that she trusts in?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
How is she going to macerate that character trait from me so she can benefit from it, and our children and our family, right? Even the community, it extends, right? But how is she going to help?
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Phil. I appreciate you guys on the live chat. Thank you so much. Let's get active on the live chat. See Shavis Greener. First time seeing you on the live show, so thank you so much. Let's get active. Make sure you guys let me know what you guys think. And if you're a Ninja Watcher, definitely come out the closet tonight. I know there's a lot of people creeping, watching some cameras. Definitely come out and see something. But I do want to pass it back to the ladies. Ladies, we were having a conversation about
Your mic, bro.
Yeah.
it's falling. It's going down again.
There you go.
Is it
We're
working?
good now. Yeah, pop back up.
I just want to pass it to the ladies. Ladies, what do you guys? You guys have had a chance to hear from the fellas. This is something that's often I see that's a lot of back and forth when it comes to men and women online. When it comes to that strong independence, there's a lot of women out there who are strong and independent. And the biggest criticism I do see online is if a man doesn't want a strong, independent woman, oftentimes what I hear from the women's side is, now you're just trying to control the woman. You're trying to oppress the woman. That's why you want docile women. You want weak women. That's why you don't want women to be strong, independent. And I appreciate the fellas for kind of defining what we're looking for, because sometimes these are buzzwords. People have their own definition of what a strong, independent is. But I think we're not saying that we don't want a strong woman and an independent woman, but oftentimes usually women will use the strong, independent term to describe, to hide their combative, very combative behavior when it comes to a relationship. But we have some strong, independent women on this panel. Some of you guys are physically strong, like Shelby. Queen Shelby is physically strong out there. But what are your thoughts on that? But what about that? What's your response as a woman? You guys live in a generation in a society today that empowers women to be strong and independent. But then you guys hear from men saying that that's not something that typically men are prioritizing, especially the type of qualities they're looking for in a wife. What's your response to that? I'll start with you, Kimberly.
I feel like right now, especially, there's just so many that like a lot are like not seeing, like most of us are not seeing like eye to eye. Like obviously the men have the different opinions about like you don't have to be a strong independent woman, wherein there are ones that are like, no, you could be a strong independent woman and you know you're like totally like fine. Like that's you do you boo basically. But I think everyone has like different definition. Like to me, I'm that type like I'm strong, I'm independent because you know like I can tend to myself. It's not a matter of like if I'm in a relationship or if I'm single, I'm still gonna function the way I do. You know, it's always amazing and it's awesome to like share it with someone. Doing like things like grocery shopping and stuff like that. Those little things. Um, but I think we just have come to the point where dating now, modern dating now is a lot different from way back before. Wherein I guess men are more like, I mean, they show love and care in a different way now versus before. That women tend to be like, hey, like I'm not gonna appear as if like I'm a damsel in distress. You know, like to us, I'm like, hey, like I mean, it's not also like as like portraying that like, hey, if you're not like strong, independent, and you're just like you just want this man to like scoop you up and like save you, and then you're a weak woman. I think we just kind of like display it differently. But yeah, I think it's just it kind of just depends on which person it is and how your perception is towards how person is.
Okay, fair enough. Thank you for sharing that, Kimberly. Queen Shelby, what do you think? You think what's your reaction to the fellas about what their thoughts about strong independence, especially from the men's perspective? What do you think, Shelby?
Yeah, I'm just gonna speak from my experience, I guess. I feel like I'd say up until I was maybe like 22 or 23, I always like pictured my life as I'm gonna find this man that's gonna provide for me, and I'm gonna be a mom, and I'm gonna cook and clean and stay at home, and that's gonna be my life. And that didn't happen. So around like 23, I feel like maybe it was like society and stuff is like, okay, I have to be a strong, independent woman. Like I have to be a boss babe. I have to hustle. I have to like get my money type of thing. So that's what I did. So I did that. And then, and I feel like society kind of changed and it's like more men want 50-50. And I didn't realize, honestly, till I spoke to you guys, I think, I always thought that men were looking for independent women. And then I said that on the podcast and you're like, no, men don't want that. And I always thought that, like, once I started like hustling and getting my life together, I thought that's like what men would want. It would be like a successful woman type of thing. So, but it's not honestly really what I desire. I would love to be able to be submissive and have like a provider man, but I felt like I haven't found someone that is able to provide that role that I can fall into my feminine woman like energy type of thing. So
Okay. All right. Thank you for sharing that, Shelby. I'll pass it to you, Tuli. Tuli, same thing. What's the response to the fellas talking about independence? I know we live, I know you're strong, independent. What's the response to that?
For me personally, like I come from strong, independent women, but I'm also old school values. So I feel like it's more about a female knowing her worth and still allowing the man to be the man in the relationship. As far like someone said, ego, I think that's when strong, independent shouldn't come into play, when it's, like the clip with the girl, and she was saying, I do this and I have this, and but that's the ego. So I feel like allowing the man to be the man in the relationship, and as a woman knowing your worth, and like you said, when shit hits the fan, you can hold it down, however you allow the man to be the man. And that's my take on it.
All right. Thank you so much, Tuli. And I'll pass it to you, Shelby Jr. What do you think?
Could you repeat the question again, please?
No, what's your response to the fellas? I asked the fellas, is strong, independent a quality that typically masculine men are looking for when it comes to a wife or long-term committed relationship? And they all gave their responses. But we live in a generation, the society today, that women are empowered to be strong and independent. Which, like I said, I don't have a problem with women being an adults, taking care of yourself and living your own life. But the women are saying that the men are saying that's not something we look for, and then the women are saying, "Well, I'm strong and independent, and if you don't want me, then that means you're intimidated." So, what's your response to that, and what's your take on that, Shelby?
I like how you said, like, you're just being an adult if you're strong
Yeah.
and independent. I don't think it's fair to blame the man to say, like, oh, you're just intimidated because I'm strong and independent. Like, you're just making the assumption as to why that man didn't want to be with you. As far as, like, do men look for that? I don't know. I think it depends on each man. I think it depends on each relationship. Like, there are going to be some relationships where the man fully provides financially. There's going to be some where they do 50-50. There's going to be some where they 50-50, and it's not just about the money. They're splitting things in different ways. So, um, I really don't have a definite answer on that. I think everybody should be strong and independent, and I do agree that relationships should be interdependent because we're all our own people, and I can't depend on you to be strong for me, but I want to be able to depend on you when I am weak.
Okay. All right. Thank you for sharing that, Shelby. Joe, thank you for jumping on. Before I pass it to you, Joe, jumping on. But to pass it back to the panel, any add-ons or responses to what everybody said?
Definitely. I'll say real quick. Yeah. I'll give a quick story about when me and my my lady, my my woman had a conversation because she described herself as independent when we first met. Says, I'm an independent, you know, mom, right? And I told her, I said, I understand what you're saying, but I don't. I'm with interdependent is another word that would be better used, because when I hear that you're independent, that means you don't need me. That's what I hear, right? Are you saying that? No, but that's something that is not the term, because words have meaning, and meanings are, they're real, they're valid. It's not, we shouldn't just use a word just because we think it's cool to use. So when you're saying you're independent, that means you don't need, in a sense, someone your life without you don't want my help, you don't need my help. I can do this myself. I got my own money. I got my own car. I got my this. I got my that. And you hear that a lot of times when we're having these conversations. You'll hear, especially if someone gets triggered. If a woman gets triggered, or sometimes if us men get triggered, we'll start listing off. I got this. I got that. I do this. I do that. And that's not what we need. We have to be interdependent of each other, because we understand that I need you and you need me. And when we can keep it real that way, then that independence goes out the wall. It goes out the door, because if we're looking for a relationship, if we're looking for someone to be with us, then we should never characterize ourselves as independent. That should never be a character trait that we put on ourselves, because that is, again, words have meaning, and that meaning, you're good by yourself. So again, we can't change the definition of words, right? So, that's why I told her, and she understood what I was saying. So now she definitely never says that she's independent, anymore, and codependent, and we use words like that,
Okay.
because
All right.
it definitely helps us to see we need each other. There's different roles that are already set, that are tried and true, and I admire real quick, and I'll just say this real quick. I do admire someone like, in this society, if we're going to look at someone who's actually living certain things that we just kind of just look at as crazy, is the Amish communities. They have a structure, and their divorce rate is almost non-existent, right? And people say, oh, well, they're this or that. No, you probably haven't even met
Okay.
that. So that's something that I like to just throw out there.
But Will, could I just chime in real quick, because I'm gonna drop in a couple minutes.
Yeah.
But I would just say, like, everybody hit some good points, and I think everybody covered it. But I'll say one of the biggest issues I'll say in relationship dynamics that I'm seeing nowadays is just like, people ain't coming to the relationship with like, what do I need to do for my family at that moment to get growth and move us to that next phase. It's almost like everybody's locked into like, what I want for myself. And I think that's the biggest issue, because it's just like, depending on what age you are or what place you are in your life, you might have to take on a different role for your family. So I think sometimes we just get so locked in and we box ourselves into like what we kind of want for ourselves, or what our like ideal situation might be, versus like, hey, you know what? We just can't do this like my ideal path at this point, but let me jump in, and take on this different role, and maybe we'll eventually get to like the ideal state and stuff, but I need to work with this individual. So it turns into a lot of like what I want. So like at my job, I always have to break it down to people and stuff like, man, we gotta wants versus needs. They'll come to me, be like, hey, I want a BMW for our office. Like, I'm like, nah, you need a car. So you're gonna get this Toyota Corolla. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's what people got to kind of do with themselves, is like level set and just be realistic, and, start looking at the, relationship holistically versus like what I want. And it has to look exactly like this. And I think they miss those opportunities to grow with somebody. So I think that's why everybody's kind of in the data market now. Like, everybody's getting a little protective, once they start getting a little older and less tolerant. So I think they're just missing them opportunities to actually grow with somebody. But it was nice meeting everybody. Great conversation, Will. Peace out, y'all.
All right. Thank you so much, Dirk. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. I thank you so much. I want to, before we conclude the pod on this last part, I want to talk about something that's always brought up when we're talking about opting out of dating, long-term relationships, and marriage. I think everybody here on the panel can agree that respect is a important quality, right?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so for both men and women. So one of the biggest things I do see online is, and one of the main reasons, and this is coming from the men's side, and we'd love to hear from the female perspective. One of the reasons why a lot of men are saying that the reason why they're opting out of dating and long term and marriage. One of the things that I often see online, they're saying that a lot of the normalized behaviors in society that women do today is often no longer respectable when it comes to a man's boundaries and standards, especially if you're looking for a good quality woman and wife. So one of the things that they brought up was social media, right? Social media. So uh, there's a lot of women out there advertising and posting their sexuality online, and I do understand that's a society that we live in today. That's normalized today. But oftentimes, just because it's normalized does not necessarily mean that it's something that men are looking for long term, especially when it comes to a wife. So one of the things that men are saying is one of the main reasons why they think that there's no point of dating and going into long term committed relationships with women, because if you tell her to put some standards on her sexuality, oftentimes, basically with the way women see it today, it's a form of liberation and self expression when it comes to their sexuality. But if a man comes up to you and wants to date you and say, you know what, I don't like that, I want to reserve that sexuality for our relationship, a lot of the feedback will be like, well, you know what, you're a toxic, controlling, oppressive man. You know, all the women are doing, it's normalized today. Why can't you just adjust to what society is telling, the normalized standards of today's society? You know, why you're trying to oppress me like the women back in the 1950s and 40s and 30s. So it's one of the hardest conversations to have. So, but we mentioned on the panel, respect is one of the most important things that men are looking for. But that's one of the reasons why I hear online that men would say that's why I'm opting out, because if I have to tell a woman, which the majority of women today are posting online, if I have to have that conversation with her, I might be labeled as an anti-woman, you know, woman hater, or trying to oppress women. So a lot of men are afraid to express this and have this conversation with a lot of modern women, and they'll just keep it to them. So you know what, I'd rather just opt out. I'd rather opt out. So I do want to have the conversation because it's something that I do see everybody's talking about it online. You know, nobody's really coming to a solution. We can figure out the nuances on this topic. But I saw with the ladies, and I just use that one example. But we're talking about respect. You know, men are saying we just want to be respected, and then Phil also added on. We want to feel needed, and we want to be respected in a relationship. So, Michael, I want to pass to the ladies. What's your when it comes to respecting in a man? What are the things what are what are the things that a woman should, if she wants to be a wife, what are the things that you should do as a woman to act and behave in order to not only be that respectable wife as of a man that's looking for a wife? And also, I want to ask ladies as well, are there things that you see online or you see in society today that's normalized that you think, you know what, that's respectable as a wife, and to your man, that's not respectable as a woman to your man? Like what are your bound? What are your how do you what are your how do you justify in your perspective what's respectable and not respectable in your perspective? I'll start with you, Kimberly.
I think with that, I mean, it's one thing when guys are, being protective with their women when, say for instance, there are men that are very conservative. They don't want their women wearing like, really revealing clothes, basically, like if they go out and whatnot. So one, like being protective and being conservative is one thing. And like me personally, if my man was to say, hey, like, I don't feel comfortable with you wearing that, like I totally like get it. But also I think another thing is, say you go like on a beach and stuff like that, and obviously if you want to go tanning and stuff, you'd want to like wear a bikini, right? One thing is that, hey, like you can't wear that, it's like too revealing and stuff like that. Like I I think it depends on the situation. Um Going clubbing, like, hey, like I don't want you to like be like too friendly and like hanging out and stuff, but for me, for example, like I'm very social, especially when I get buzzed and I'm like hanging out with everyone. But then there's also one thing where they get really flirty, and then they're over here like dancing with other guys and being like all touchy feely. So I think it just totally depends on, like, you have to have that boundary, and you have to have that. You've got to be very like sensitive and be very cautious in like what you're doing, and like understand what the other one is like doing, but still not be too too much about it, if that makes any sense.
Okay. All right. Thank you for sharing that, Kimberly. I'll pass it to you, Tilly.
I think, like, for me personally, I model, so my art is sensual, and I've had people, call me out on it. However, if I was in a relationship with someone and they express, like, I'm not comfortable with you creating this style out of respect for them, then I would switch it up. I would change it up, because when you're with a partner, it is the two of you. So that it goes back to that respect thing. And I also feel like it depends on the couples too, because maybe there are some men who are like, yeah, this is what my girl does, and I love her, and I'm proud of her, and whatever. So I think it all depends, but I think that's what it comes down to, is the expectations, the respect, and the boundaries between the two, without losing your identity in the process.
Exactly.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Tilly. I'll pass it to you, Queen Shelby. What do you think about that?
Yeah. I feel like if a man comes to, say, for example, if a man comes to me and he's like, I don't want you posting anything too provocative, like, type of thing, he better be unfollowing and not liking any woman on the internet any
That's fair.
way.
Yeah.
Because
Fair.
you can't hold that standard for me and then go around and be liking
Double
other
standards.
photos, following all
Yeah.
these nude girls. It's like respect goes both ways.
Mhm.
You want
Exactly.
to respect you, you have to respect me as well. And also, if a man comes to my page and he automatically doesn't like what he sees and he doesn't want that, cool. I would prefer a man that comes to my page and he's like, oh, I appreciate what she posts, and then is okay with it, and we come to a mutual agreement. I prefer that. So.
Okay. All right. Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. It has to be reciprocal. All right. Thank you so much, Queen Shelby. I'll pass it to you, Shelby Jr. What do you think? What's your thoughts on that?
I think for both the man and the woman in the relationship, they're supposed to be a representative of you. Like, kind of like an ambassador. Like, you get sent out somewhere, you're representing that country. So when I go out somewhere, when I'm posting something, I'm representing us. And I want it to look well also. So if he's saying that to me, I probably wouldn't even be posting anything like that anyway. But say, for an example, if that were the case, then yes, I would respect it. If you don't want somebody to see that, then okay, I'll respect it. Of course, like, there is the boundary, like, when is too much, but that's how I like to see it. Like, we are representing each other when we go out.
All right. All right. Thank you so much, Shelby Jr. I appreciate that. Let me just pass it to fellas. What do you guys think about, what a lot of men are saying that, well, we're opting out because oftentimes what's normalized with the women, the way women behave today in modern society is often the things that goes against the standards or boundaries that we look for in a relationship as a man. Harrison, what do you think? What's your response to that?
I liked Queen Shelby's response, but I saw a video, and you guys may have saw this video. It was like couple street interviews, and the guy asked the lady, the girl in the couple, would you get upset if your boyfriend liked other women's pictures and stuff like that on Instagram? She said, absolutely. Yeah, he can't be liking other girls photos and stuff like that. And then he asked her, "Do you have any, like revealing photos?" She says, "Yeah." He said, "Do guys like those?" She said, "Well, yeah, of course." And exposing a double standard in that specific area. Now, if it's good for one, it's good for the other, right? But in regards to relationships, and this is where it gets like it gets in the realm of people's values, what people value. Most men, they want to be able to walk the street with their woman who is beautiful, and other men be able to say, "Wow, she's very beautiful," and they don't really want other men looking at her being like, "Yo, I just want to smash that," right? And that's where it goes into the conversation of what you said, Will, about what women want, that safety.
Yeah.
So if you want that safety, right, you got to be able to accept all of it, because women will say a man is jealous because he doesn't want the woman he loves to be objectified by other people. See, a man loves a woman, he marries a woman, has a wife, marries her, whatever. He appreciates everything about her, including what she looks like without clothes, and loves her and wants to cherish that, and wants to protect that, wants to honor that. Other men, not so much. Not so much. And if you want to be safe in every definition of the word, if a man says, "Listen, this outfit or this photo you posted or this video or whatever, it might not present you in the light that I want others to see you, in the light that I see you." And that's my opinion of it. I think that if women want safety, and men too, because I people say, like this term jealousy, right? Jealousy isn't always based in insecurity. Jealousy could be protective. Okay. A couple of years ago, I used to be a pastor. I used to work, as a pastor full time. And at the time I was married to my kid's mother. And she would say to me, "I want you to be careful of this specific lady in the church because I think she's eyeing you." Right? Now I could respond to her and be like, "Yo, why are you being jealous for, man? Like, I gotta, interact with other women because I'm a pastor. Why are you jealous?" Right? But instead I was like, you know what? I'm gonna keep an eye on that because that's her protecting me. Yeah, that radar, that jealous radar, that's healthy, is protecting me. If a man is also on the flip side, if a man knows that you are absolutely stunning without clothes or in a bathing suit or in lingerie or whatever, right? And he loves you and he's pursuing you for marriage, he does not want other men objectifying you. So you guys could say it's jealousy, but at the core of it, it's meant to protect and to keep you safe and not meant to control. And I think that society will tell women, he's trying to control you because of this whole sexual liberation, women being free with themselves. Like that's completely a prerogative. I'm not trying to push my values on anybody else. But on the flip side, if you want that safety, you want that protection, you want that security, just be willing to receive all of it.
All right, man.
Yeah.
Harrison dropping some gems tonight. Thank you so much, Harrison. Quick question: was it true? Was that woman in the church? Was she eyeing you for real?
So after she told me that, I kept far away. So I didn't even try to investigate that. Yeah.
Good man. Thank you so much, Harrison. Appreciate that. So I'll pass it to you, Professor. Yeah, same thing. Women, women want a man with respect, but men are saying that they're opting out because what they see from the general population of women, that they're no longer behaving in a way that's kind of respectable to our standards. What do you think about that, Professor?
I think a lot of people are confused on both sides of the coin, and we're confused because no one's willingly going to admit that we equally play a big part in the culture that we're now facing in the West. We don't have a marriage culture. and yet everyone wants the outcome of a marriage. So when I have conversation with people, you know, in terms of relationship, they often ask, okay, what is the outcome that you want out of a relationship? Oh, I want these things, and I want to feel safe and secured in a relationship and all these things. And I've asked them, what sort of model of relationship have you seen in the past that provides all of those things and more? And when we look back, it's only in marriages that those things have been provided for. But then you ask people also at the same time, okay, do you think that you're only having half of the equation? Are you only thinking of output rather than, in order to get this certain output, there's also an input part of that component? And people don't think about the input. My earlier point about the idea that we have played an equal part is that we as men have also supported women in the sexual liberation movement. And we can't sort of walk away and say, look at the state of womanhood of today's world in the West, and just point the fingers. We've also got to look internally. The strong independent conversation is also promoted by men, and it's promoted by men in the sense of, if you're someone who wants casual sex, oftentimes you will look for those type of women. And when we do those things and we promote those type of women at a large quantity in society, we send in the message of subconsciously towards women in the sense of, let's try and gain these sort of ideas or philosophies and live by them, because that's the signals that these strong men or perceived strong men are looking after in women. So why are men opting out? Men are opting out essentially because we don't understand or have a need for the idea of masculinity. There's two components to masculinity that we need to understand. Its functionality is talked about so very much in men, but its longevity is not being talked about. A big part of masculinity is not only your function and practices in and how you move and operate in the world, it's also preserving that, meaning you have to have children, or at least be in a position to pass those traits on. If we look at how men have built each other all throughout the generations, there has always been a process of passing knowledge. We used to call it rite of passage. And that's a big component that we have to talk about. If we're going to stand here as men and say, okay, we're going to opt out, then we have to relinquish a lot of the ideas that we think about as manhood. So we're trying a new, I guess, approach. My thing is this, and I make facetious comments about it, but it's actually quite true. I love the idea of cavemen, and I love the idea of chest hair shit. And the reason for that is I want to leave at least a legacy with my children, and not only that, the impact that I have with other people around me. And my want for other men to also have the same effect is that I want to see more of good men out in the world. The idea that women are being unruly and undesirable comes from a new age where women have ruled over the idea of selection. Men have always been the lead when it comes to selection. And the reason for that is we understand our affinity towards the extreme. That's why we have behaviors like narcissism that women are now complaining about. Men have a gauge because we understand the extremes in these directions. But now that you as ladies are now independent in the world and you're having to make these selections for yourself, a lot of times, and this is where it becomes tricky for y'all, is that we often spill a good game in just how we carry ourselves. And oftentimes women can't see beyond that. Let's look at the idea of logic and emotional, which isn't a bad thing either way. There needs to be a fine balance, which is why there's a beautiful relationship when two people, man and woman, come together, and that complementary that we all see and sort of idolize, right? So I'm sort of going all over the place here, but the respect and love thing, I think it's a trade-off currency. Men trade love in order to gain respect, and women trade respect in order to gain love. The reason why I'm not a proponent of respect for women is because the trade of that currency is not the same. The reason why you women respect us is because of our competency. Competent man will always have some form of respect from the woman that he picks. The reason why I'm not a proponent of respect is oftentimes the things that we do as men will become disrespectful, i.e. the leadership component. And oftentimes men have to put their foot down and say, look, I understand where you're coming from, but this is the direction that we need to head in. I'm not disrespecting you, but the idea of be loving, be caterers to your woman, provide that idea of absolute safety. Should shit hits the fan, understand that I as a man will stand tall and stand in front of whatever comes our way. And that's where the idea is. I don't know who said it, but I really love this quote, and I'll end it with this. Men who are disrespected are unloving to their women, and women who are unloved are disrespectful to their men.
Thank you so much for sharing that, Paulo Fessa. Georgiwa, drop the super chat. They don't call him Paulo Fessa for no reason. Let the people know something. Mali Toko. All right, thank you so much. Paulo Fessa dropping some gems tonight. I do agree with Paulo Fessa. I think oftentimes I see online there's the men are just complaining about the women when it comes to the sexual liberation, but we don't take accountability of our own part of it, of participating that as well. Because sometimes I hear a lot of guys talk about, complaining about their women posting their pictures online, but these are the same guys that follow all these women and like all their pictures and subscribe to their OnlyFans. It's the same type of guys. So there's some hypocrisy there. So I think
Can I just quickly, my bad, can I quickly speak to that? I think there's also a misunderstanding with the idea of socially promoting your body. Let's look at the men, the kind of guys that you look at and go, that's a strong man, that's someone I want to align with. The idea of your body being flaunted plays a couple of parts. It plays the idea of representation, which Shelby spoke to. The other idea too is the intimacy. I want the beauty and the virtue of the woman that I'm with to be reserved for me. I want to enjoy that and enjoy it in its fullness. To have that be readily available for other men takes away the idea of intimacy that we share, and it's supposed to be exclusive between us. So that, and I know that as women you crave the idea of intimacy from men that only you share. So that's the equal exchange. Is that I often think in this logic, the less a man has to undress you in his mind, the more you become an object. And then we follow the same logic when we look at you and go, I want that to be for me. The selection idea of me with you should show you how important, how much I treasure the beauty that you bring, and I just want to share that between the two of us.
Yeah. And just I just want to add on to one thing you just said, because this is something I do hear from a lot of women, and I understand why. Oftentimes I hear women would say, I want to express my sexuality so I can explore myself. I want to go on a journey. I want to express myself, which is, I do understand that's the mentality of today's women. But my only thing is, wouldn't it be better to find a good man when you can reserve that with him and you guys can explore it together? Mm-hmm. And that's just me. I mean, exploring it with the whole world can see, comparing it to reserving it for one man, and you guys can explore your sexuality together, intimately and privately. In your own relationship, but it's not necessarily something that you do for the whole world. So I think that's something I just want to add in there. And I think if you find somebody that you can do it with, I think that's a lot better than doing it for yourself for the whole world to see. When most of these people that are watching your content, like, they don't really care about you like that, compared to the good man that wants to be with you. All right. So
someone made a good comment in the comment section about her waiting for marriage. If a woman came to you, or to men in general, and she says, I'm waiting till marriage, 90% of the men are gonna be like, nah, I don't want that. Mm-hmm. They want the girl to just have sex with them before getting to marriage, type of thing. So
yeah, that's facts. That's facts, right? Yeah. So I totally agree with that, Queen Shelby. But I'll pass it to Prime and Phil, then I'll pass it to the ladies, and then we'll conclude. I know the time is coming up. Joe, thank you for jumping on real quick. Joe, anything you want to add on when we're talking about respect? That's why a lot of men are opting out, because they just say that, we don't see women moving in a way that's going to be respectable for us to wife them up.
Can you frame it in more of a question format? Sorry.
So, do you think? What are your thoughts on men saying that the main reason why they're opting out is because they don't see women as a respectable woman to be wife material? What's your response to that?
So why are men opting out? Because most women can't present themselves to be wife materials. Am I getting that correctly?
Hey, Joe, I don't know if it's only me, but your mic is really low.
No, your mic is low.
Yeah, I'll come back to you, Jerk. Let me just pass it. I'm sorry, Prime. I'll come back to you, but I'll pass it to you, Phil, and then because I can't really hear you, Joe. Phil, I'll pass it to
Yes,
you. Anyway, what do you want to add on to the conversation? Go ahead.
indeed. Well, all of us can agree that we're all adults by societal standards, by age, right? So, within being adults, me, I always still have a tendency to put myself as a child as well. What kind of child? A child of God. I don't think I would want my children being inadequate. For instance, certain lifestyles, certain ways that we come across. I heard beach attire, right? Just because society deems it okay to wear your underwear on the beach and call it swimwear, do I want my child in their underwear outside? No, I don't. So I'm one that definitely am not. I don't stand for that at all. Likewise, my son. I'll tell my son, hey, I don't want to see your chest. Play basketball, shirt and skins. I don't want to see your chest. I don't think nobody else should see it either. I think that you should definitely carry yourself with enough of integrity uh, that you're going to see yourself in a way that people are going to see you and want to move in a sense like you. We come up with a lot of ways to kind of dismiss how we allow ourselves to think because society puts the okay on it. Well, it's okay to wear bikini wear. It's okay to go to the beach. It's like no one's ever been to the beach with clothes on. That's immoral. That's almost like saying that you actually have to have clothes on. I'm not saying that you have to have you still could have, it's beach wear that's still breathable, right? I mean, we can get into things that you can wear instead of that. But I'm not saying for my son also to be approved and be like, okay, well, I'm not going to play because I have to go on, skins and shirts. But say, hey, if there's an option, keep your clothes on because it shows a level to me of integrity and it shows a level of class and dignity and elegance because you actually, and that's why I say, and it was on this show that some young lady, she kind of ripped me. She was saying, y'all remember Will when she was saying I said cleavage, say that's a red flag, and she was like, no, you can't say that doesn't mean that I'm this and that, oh, and I understood where she was coming from, but again, at the end of the day, when you're advertising something, you're giving yourself, and we all want our thing. It's just like kids. This is our cookie. This is our food. This is our whatever it is, right? It's ours. We're possessive. You all, of a woman, that's her man, right? She wants him. She don't want. If you talk about infidelity, she don't want him sleeping with someone else. But if you advertise yourself in that way, then you're going to reap those type of illegitimate ideas that come along with advertising yourself in a certain way, moving in a certain way.
Yeah.
And me, I look at myself as set apart. So if I'm set apart, then I'm gonna move differently. I'm not gonna move like everyone else because, you know, and that's one thing that was instilled into me, you know, from my parents and grands. You know, they just it showed that again, you just move with a certain lip of modesty. The world says okay to you.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Phil. I'll pass it to you real quick, Joe. Is your mic working?
Can you hear me better?
Yeah, it's a lot better.
It's a lot better.
Yeah. What's
turn it up louder?
Yeah, it's a lot better now. Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead. Yeah. Go ahead. What's your response, real quick? I'll pass it to the ladies, and then we're gonna conclude. Go ahead, Joe.
I mean, man, this is a really touchy subject. The way that I see it is, especially being introduced back into the dating world, is that I mean, I brought this up before in other podcasts that we've talked about. Is you have too much women that are not being nurturing enough, and when I say nurturing enough, I'm looking at it from the prospect of women want to see masculinity in men, and men want to see a nurturing sense inside of women. And typically that's what I would look for, is something somewhat of the nurturing aspect that women are extremely a lot better at comparative to what I perceive. Okay. And I think women have changed the aspects of what being an adult is to what this is success. And it's like, well, men are already doing the same thing. We're already on the same playing field. We're already trying to reach the same goal. And it turns up into this constant of I have a bigger stick than you do. And I think that if the goal is relationship, then that's what the goal should be, is relationship. The compromise is what we both set as standards to move forward. And I don't think that you have too many men that don't understand the standards that need to be set, and too many women that don't want to compromise for the standards that they want to expect from that relationship. And so today you have the really big problems of what people perceive as like insecurities. I forgot who was talking about it. I think it was Harrison who brought up jealousy and envy. So the insecurity side, they're both synonyms, right? Jealousy is more along the lines of the threat or fear of losing something that you've earned, okay? Whereas envy is the possessiveness of something that you don't have. And the problem that a lot of men have with women revealing too much is, I've earned that. But now you're going to go out and put yourself in a position where another man can earn that. So if that's the response, then that's where the man will feel disrespected. But then you turn around and then you target it and treat it as if it was an insecurity when it's not. It's a healthy aspect of me. Instead of me saying, I'm jealous, I'm trying to tell you, hey, I fear that you are putting yourself out there in a situation where now somebody else has the opportunity to earn such. And if you're doing that, then that means you don't respect me as your man. And so it's not so much so for me to say, I expect you to dress this way. It's so much so to say that, hey, I fear that one day you're going to be in a situation that you're not going to like, that I'm not going to like, but I warned you. And now it's my fault because I warned you. So how can we get to a common ground where we're on the same playing field, where I can approach you in a way where it doesn't seem like I'm being disrespectful towards you or presenting quote unquote an insecurity. I'm trying to present myself in a way where, hey, I have a standard, and this standard is I don't ever want you to put yourself in that situation, because I would expect nothing less from myself. I would never put myself in a situation when you have to question me. So why are you putting yourself in a situation where I have to question you? And then why are you using it against me if I question you? Right. So I'll just leave it right there.
All right. Thank you so much for sharing, Joe. I'm just going to pass it back real quick to the ladies. We got a chance to hear from the ladies' perspective. and the men's. But ladies, any response to what the fella said, especially when it comes to that topic? What's your any of you guys can just go? Like anybody had a response to it?
I don't know.
No, I think everyone said it like,
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
very well said.
Okay. All right, no worries. I just had a quick question to the ladies, real quick. Do you? Because this is something I do here online. It's a lot of women will push back on this, but do you think it's okay for a man to tell you if he's uncomfortable with something you wear to kind of put a standard of how you dress appropriately or inappropriately when it comes to a relationship? Do you think that's okay?
Yeah.
To me, yeah, I think
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah.
I do as well.
Okay. Shelby Jr.
Yeah, I honestly like my own style, but I'm not gonna wear anything that's revealing. I like to dress very modestly, so I'm like, yeah, I like the way I dress anyway, so.
Okay. How about Queen Shelby?
What was he gonna say?
No, was it? Do you think it's okay if you're with a man that you respect and love? Do you think it's okay for him to tell him, okay, this is appropriate, this is inappropriate?
Yeah, I feel like you guys have to get to a mutual ground of like kind of like trust and confidence in the relationship, because I feel like I've been in a relationship where I would say there was a lot of like insecurity coming up and not trust and stuff, and it just I feel like if either you're not confident in yourself that you feel like you provide enough in the relationship, or secure in yourself that like, or just secure in the relationship in general that you feel like maybe I'm not good enough, or maybe there's insecurity in the relationship that you feel like your woman's going to leave you for someone else or something. I feel like, yeah, you guys have to it's either internally that you have to build up in yourself, or security in the relationship that you guys need to build to feel like there's that trust that she's not going to step out on the relationship.
Okay. Paulo, real quick before we conclude. Go ahead, Paulo.
Okay.
Shelby actually brought up a great point, and that was what I wanted to address. I try and be very careful with vernacular, in the sense of the idea of uncomfortability and deploying standards are two things that don't exist in the same plane. Men of standards are not going to be uncomfortable saying, this is my standard. We're not going to enforce it by saying, you have to follow it. It's like, in order to for me to provide these things for you, these are the standards you must follow by. And if that's not for you, then that's fine. Then we're just not going to gel. And I wanted to address the idea of fear. I don't know whether I'm a bit too biased in terms of my idea of cavemen and whatnot, but we do not fear the idea that our women are going to leave us. The idea of standards is that it acts as a way of filtering out women who are going to do that in the long run anyway. No one in this world has this master plan of villainy that they're going to get into a relationship in 20 years down the line, they are going to leave you. That doesn't happen. So we have to get away from the idea of these things are there because I fear the day that it all going to turn to shit. No, we put measure in place that makes logical sense to us, and that we've seen proof of work over time that if these things are followed by and they're adhered by, it's guaranteed some level of success. And we don't fear that because we understand the framework. So that's what I wanted to address. I highly dislike the idea that a man that we describe as masculinity looks at their women and go, I fear the idea that you leave me because you do X, Y, and Z. Or the idea that I'm comfortable deploying these sets of standards for you.
Right.
These things should be discussed in the early stages of relationship, and it should be expectation and boundaries. Please do not get to the end of the relationship and go, I'm uncomfortable with you doing this. And you're now 5 years deep, you're 7 years deep. That creates frictions that is oftentimes the breaking point of relationship.
Yeah.
And can I?
I we have come to the end. We have to conclude. But I just want to add on to what Balafessa said. I do see that a lot of men will complain about women who don't respect their standards when it comes to the way they dress, but they often pick women who will go against that very standard and try to conform them into that standard. And that's my biggest problem is if you want a woman that's going to respect your standards, then this simple solution is pick women who are already moving with those standards.
Facts.
Exactly.
Don't try to change a woman to conform to your standards. I never understood that philosophy.
Mhm.
So if you look at men, what Balafissa talked about, men who have strong standards, it's non-negotiable. They don't compromise it for a
They're
woman.
not
So,
sliding in the DMs.
exactly, they're not sliding in the DM. So the very guys that want that strong standard, the same women, the same guys like following all these girls, liking their pictures or trying to date them. But they complain about, women don't want to conform to our standards. No, don't. She was already moving that way anyway. So why would you go pursue a woman when you saw that's how she moves instead of, but you don't go pursue a woman that's already respecting your standards. But that's why sometimes I see that's another topic, but I do see a lot of men who talk about the type of woman they want, but they give all their attention and validation resources to women that we don't want to date long term. So I just find like some hypocrisy in that. But we've come to the end. Thank you so much. As always, appreciate you guys. Honey Dress, I'll pass it to you. You can just add on your last piece, but thank you for making. I know you're very busy.
Oh my
and you're
gosh.
part of the panel. I'll
I'm
definitely give you
so
some time at
sorry.
the
I
end.
listened to the whole thing. I just couldn't tune in. But yeah, you guys, I don't know. Everybody's gonna hit their like level of maturity in that point in their life where they're gonna know what they want. And yeah, it's you can't pick and choose what you want. You can't this isn't build a bear.
Build a bear. All right. Appreciate you, Honey Dress. But to pass it back to the panel, what's your final thoughts? Thank you for making the time. But one more shout out to you guys real quick. All right. Thank you so much for the discussions. Open conversation. What do we agree, disagree? Thank you for having the conversation so we can find some solutions for everybody out there instead of complaining and blaming everybody for their problems. But I'll start with the ladies. Final thoughts from tonight's conversation, takeaways, and how can they find you and support you? I'll start with you, Kimberly. Kimberly, thank you for making the time. I appreciate you. Final thoughts and how can they find you?
Thank you for having me. Yes, so I think with, like modern dating, we all just gotta find our match, like again, like, being respectful, openness, making sure we're all in the same page. I mean, not everyone's gonna, find that person right away. So you just have to be very patient. But yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, Kimberly. I pass it to you. Queen Shelby, thank you for coming back for the third or fourth time. Appreciate you. Final thoughts, takeaways, and how can they find you, Shelby?
Yeah, thanks for having me. Yeah, I feel like that was a good conversation. Everyone did good, especially you two ladies, your first time. So good job. Yeah, you can reach me on Instagram at Shelby Kingsley.
All right. Thank you so much, Shelby, Queen Shelby. Pass it to you, Tully. Tully, thank you for coming on the pod. Thank you for participating the entire time. Final thoughts and how can they find you?
I think it was a great discussion. Everybody really seems to be sharing the same views overall, that what it comes down to is respect and, allowing that person to be that person both ways, not losing your identity in the process, but also, again, respecting one another. And I feel like that's bottom line, as you said earlier, absolute safety. And I feel like that sums it up with everything.
All right. Thank you so much. The original person that shared that he's right here, Palafessa. Thank you so much. Tully, Shelby Jr., thank you so much for making the time. I know you were very busy today, but you found time to jump on the pod with us. Shelby, final thoughts and how can they find you?
Yeah, thank you guys for listening to all that I shared. I loved hearing the feedback. I don't like to take advice from people who haven't been where I want to go. So hearing all of you guys share was really helpful just for me also. You guys can find me at the Shelby P.
All right. Thank you so much, Shelby, for jumping on. Just pass it to you, Honey Dreads. I know you just jumped on late, but just want to give you some time real quick. Go ahead.
What am I saying?
Oh, I thought you wanted to say your opening piece about the topic with opting out of dating. Why do you think a lot of to summarize it like 30 seconds? Why do you think a lot of guys are opting out of dating? You know, they don't want to date no more, go and marry women no more.
Because it's easier to get a sneaky link than it is to keep a good woman. To keep it short, to keep it really short and real in my 30 seconds. If you want to hear me talk shit more on this topic, follow me as Honey Dreads with a Z on all platforms. I'll make my own episode of this topic.
Comes in with a one-liner.
Thank you so much. I'm not gonna lie, that's absolutely some truth. I hear a lot of guys like, I want a good woman, but they participate in promiscuous behavior and they give attention to all the women that don't have standards. But they want a good woman and they want a good wife. So I do agree with you, Honey Standard. I'm sorry, Honey Dreads. Pass it to the fellas real quick. Final thoughts. How can they find you? I'll start with you, Harrison Family Values. Thank you so much for coming on. Appreciate your time. You definitely dropped some knowledge. You know, if you we need some content about strong family values, definitely check out his content and his channel. But final thoughts and how can they find you, Harrison?
Final thoughts to help with modern dating. Go into looking to meet people without and get to know people without expectations. Stop trying to find a boyfriend or a girlfriend off the rip and just get to know somebody and remove the mask. Don't go in expecting anything from the other person. Just present your true, genuine self. Allow the person to get to know you and get to like you or not like you, and vice versa. And you can find me on YouTube by going to Harrison Family Values, and on Instagram at Andre_D_Harrison. And thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Appreciate you. The honor is mine. Thank you so much, Harrison. Pass it to you, Phil. First time here. Thank you so much, Phil. Final thoughts, Phil Jr. And how can they find you, Phil?
Indeed. So you all can find me at generally, Facebook or Instagram. Usually Facebook. Phil Higgs Jr. is my regular page. Phil and then HIGGS Jr. Or you can my business Bone to Bone back there. Bone to Bone BTB at gmail.com or on Facebook, social media, all platforms. And that's the easiest way to talk to me, through there. I definitely would like to say that, shout out everyone on the panel for coming out. Definitely been a great productive conversation. Thank you all for bringing those facts and opinions and it's enlightening. I think we have to have more of these conversations. It's pretty awesome to be a part of it. I indeed will be more a part of it. Me and Will was talking about it. I'll be starting my podcast as well soon. So just stay tuned for that. These guys, they're great guys, man. Master P. I'm just going. Well, it's already another Master P, but I'm gonna say Sensei P. My brother. I always say his name wrong. How you say it?
Prime.
Just say Paulo.
Oh,
Paulo.
Paulo. All right, brother Paulo. Just bring that knowledge all the time, man. Bring that wisdom and much respect. But to sum up everything, I would just say, be intentional. Be intentional. And don't be afraid to actually have standards. Don't be afraid to walk with integrity, to walk with modesty, and be, just genuinely authentic, without fear that you're going to miss out. Because again, you can tell that from men and women that are not moving that way. You can tell when they're actually moving in fear and moving in a way where they're kind of like on eggshells and they're scared to be, integrity based and to be, solid, have a solid foundation. So definitely move with intention. and we'll see. You know, like I said, things will definitely change, but you know, you just got to put in that work.
All right. Thank you so much, Phil. Paulo, as always, thank you for jumping on. Final thoughts. And you can probably find him tomorrow's Masculine Mind Pod on Thursdays. Go ahead, Paulo.
Yeah, social media is not something that I do, so don't find me anywhere. You will find me here back tomorrow, most likely. Final thoughts is people should stop playing on the freeway. And the reason why I say that is life is very much almost similar to that of operating on a freeway. As we progress through life, we operate in different lane. The lane of relationship has its own challenges. And if you're going to operate in that lane, you cannot be looking elsewhere other than what's in front of you. I think what most people do nowadays is that they want to be on that lane, but they change back and forth. They want to do relationship things, but still act single. Yeah. And if you know anything about driving, you create yourself more problems the more you focus on the side and the more you change lanes. So don't play on the freeway, operate on one lane and pick that lane and stay true to it. As difficult as it may be, find people with similar values. For the ladies, we say this in the masculine mind. You will never go wrong with these three traits when it comes to a man. Someone who's accountable, someone who's resilient, and someone who's disciplined. All that other stuff is just fluff. Those three things, you'll never go wrong. Find those three things in a man, and you find a great thing. Mm-hmm. Ladies, it's been a pleasure. And to Harrison and Phil, appreciate you guys coming on, because it's in these conversations, it's very difficult to find men who can articulate themselves in the ways that we understand we can do it. Well, it's always a pleasure. Thank you for having me, and to everyone, enjoy your afternoon, morning, or evening.
All right, thank you so much, Paulo Fessa. I just wanted to add on to your lane analogy. Please date in your lane. Please date within.
Don't swerve.
All right, so Prime, real quick, final thoughts, and how can they find you?
Not much final thoughts. Thank you, Will, for having me on tonight. And I think everybody pretty much hit it on the dot. As far as advice moving forward, don't really give a lot of advice, but I will leave you guys with some good endearment. If you're going to be looking for a relationship, really build yourself to be the person that can accept the person that you're looking for. Stop trying to qualify other people. So the moment that you can do that is the moment that you'll find whatever it is that you're looking for. And it might not always be the same answer that you have always expected. So just leave it at that. But as far as where you guys can find me, Joe Promasio, anywhere on any platform. Other than that, if you guys really want to get a hold of me, just reach out to Will.
All right, thank you so much, Prime. I just saw a comment. A female just sent a message, said, "I don't need to know how to dress. I don't need a man to tell me how to dress appropriately because I already know." I was like, okay. You know, psychic. It must be psychic. Okay. Already understand men's. But interesting conversation to have. Thank you so much. I appreciate you guys. Everybody on the live chat. I saw a lot of new names in the live chat. Thank you so much for participating and watching the entire stream. The best way to support is smash that like and subscribe button real quick. But the fellas and the ladies on here tonight, great panel, great perspective. Even if we disagreed, even if we didn't agree on some things, but thank you for the conversation, the dialogue, to figure out some solutions, some solutions for a lot of the things that men and women are facing today in the modern world of dating. But appreciate you guys. But you guys all have a great night. Thank you so much. Peace, y'all. Peace.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Everyone.